33-pointers in an overtime loss to Washburn Tuesday night. That makes the defensive game plan rather straightforward for Southern as they try and beat Emporia State for the 4th time in a row.
From what I know, they're shooting the three real good right now. I heard one guy's fired 23s in the last game, so we got to get out and defend the three.
Right now, I think we're playing really well, but Emporia State's playing really well too. So we got to take them for what they are and come out and play hard.
Thanks, guys. While Southern
of the Lions and our first show of the new millennium, I guess. Happy New Year, by the way. Coach, let's talk about conference play, which started last week. First of all, 3 of your first 4 MIAA games are on the road. You guys hadn't played another opponent in 23 days prior to the conference opener against Rolla. What was the mindset?
Well, we were very concerned going in. We knew that we wouldn't be as sharp in the first half, in particular in the Rolla game, as we were against Rockhurst. So we were concerned going in this basketball game because you never know how your team's going to respond. The fortunate thing was I felt like we did come back and we practiced hard and we got some things accomplished in practice. I thought our mindset was right. But a lot of times when you have that long layoff, it's just like starting over again. In the first 2 or 3 games, you're rushed on the offensive end. It was just going to be a matter of time. How quickly did we kind of settle in and start playing the type of basketball we're capable of playing?
When you talk about Missouri Rolla, you think about Scott Holly, who's like 4th in the conference in scoring, puts up about 18 per game. You knew he's an offensive threat. No way he was going to miss a bus on the way to his own gym there in Rolla. But the thing that I thought was very interesting, you guys hold him to 8 points the entire game.
Well, I thought our guys did a nice job on him. Number one, he was 0 for 7 from the three-point line in that game, and that's where he's a threat. If the three-point shot's going for him, that opens up his drive, and he's just a complete player. Fortunately, we picked one of those games where he didn't shoot the three very well, and I felt like our guys, in particular Leo Gomez and Terry Shumpert and Carlos Escalera, did a nice job getting out on him. We did a lot of switching, so we tried to force him out a little further on the floor than what they like to play.
You got a good second half out of Osiris. It was kind of hard for him to get anything done in the first half. They were really clamping down on him, and it seemed like whenever he tried to move, you could tell that maybe he hadn't played somebody in 23 days at that point. It just seemed like it wasn't a very natural thing to dribble the ball or even to pivot or anything like that. But he comes up with 10 points in the second half. You guys get 12 from Carlos Escalera, and it was a much different second half than the first half, wasn't it?
Well, it was. We came back and played with a little more purpose the second half. The first half, I felt, again, we rushed things. We weren't quite as fluid as what you'd like to do. We were trying to do things. We had no reason for doing things, you know. In the second half, we came back and played with more of a purpose of what we were trying to accomplish. Osiris was the one guy that we were really concerned about with the long layoff because of the knee, and he was just really starting to come into his own the first semester, then a 23-day layoff. He came back, and his knee got a little sore because we were going 2-a-days when we first came back. So we were concerned about how he was going to hold up for us, and fortunately, you know, he came back and did some positive things in the second half, and we hit some good shots. And plus, again, I feel like the 2 constants for us have been our defense and our rebounding up to that point, and we did a nice job in both those areas.
That's a game on Monday. You guys win 71-56. From there, you have really no preparation time for Washburn. And it's odd you start the MIAA season with a 3-game week, but you go from Rolla on Monday to Topeka on Wednesday and lovely confines where the Washburn Ichabods play. Talk a little bit about that game because you knew, again, you didn't have a whole lot of preparation time for these guys.
Well, that's true. Everybody in the conference played Monday and Wednesday, so everybody's in the same boat in that situation. Where we different than everybody else, our first 2 games was on the road, and everybody else had 1 at home, 1 on the road. But we're not in the ball game to offer excuses. We're in it to show results. And you know, Washburn played well that night. Ewan on their inside really did a nice job for them. We did we didn't do a very good job of getting Osiris involved in the offense. They played a real sagging man-to-man defense, and every time O touched the basketball, they had 2 or 3 guys around him, and we hadn't seen that many times, and again, the layoff, I feel like, hurt us because we weren't as fluid as what we'd like to be, and we didn't respond to the double teams like we'd like to be, or like to do. So it was one of those situations where we just never got in the flow of things. We sent them to the free throw line too many times. They were 35 for 40 from the line. We were 12 for 14. And so, you know, anytime you're on the road, you outscore the team by 12, you feel like you got a chance. Unfortunately, you know, again, we sent them to the line too many times, and they capitalized. They made their free throws.
Don't want to mention anything about the officiating, just the fact that we sent him to the line too many times.
Our defense, our movement on the defense wasn't as sharp as what it should have been.
You guys get 20 in a losing effort. A key point in the second from Carlos Escalera, by the way. Key point in the second half. I think you guys were down by maybe 11. You get 8 quick points from Blake Bard, and it seemed like, here we go. This is going to be, you guys are going to cap off a comeback, but I don't know if it just wasn't meant to be or if there was another party involved in sending somebody to the line, but it just did not get done. You guys fall 74-63. The first loss of the year drops you guys to 10-1. Then we come back to Truman to open up the MIAA season at the LAPAC. And this is an interesting matchup in that both you guys coming off losses. Truman is ranked second in the nation still. You guys are ranked 25th, and it's such a key matchup, a marquee matchup. And talk a little bit about the Bulldogs, and because this is a team that you played very close last year. Beat them once, and then the 2 losses, you guys lose by a combined total of 5 points. You knew that you could play with these guys.
Well, they're an excellent basketball team, evident by the fact that they made it last year to the semifinals of the national tournament. They had everybody back, so we knew we had our work cut out for us. We knew they wouldn't beat themselves. It was a situation where we had to go out and play good basketball and have a chance to win the game. And it was kind of a game of momentum. We started out quick. We were up 9 in the first 10 minutes of the game. They came back to cut it within 2 at halftime, and then they came out and took a 9-point lead with about 9.5 to go in the ball game. And then we really played well the last 9.5 minutes. I feel like our defense really picked up. They had done a great job of taking care of the basketball. So we forced 19 turnovers on their part. We only had 9 turnovers, and I feel like that was the key difference in the basketball game. They out-rebounded us by 10, which was kind of disappointing, but the turnover differential kind of offset that. So it was a nice win for our guys. It was, again, it was one of those games you had to kind of grind out, and you had to show some toughness at the end. The last 3-4 minutes, we had to make a lot of big plays, and we had different guys step up and make the big plays.
It was definitely a game of runs, and luckily for you guys, you were on the upswing of the final run in that. Carlos Escalera scored a career-high 28 points that night. And after 3 games in the MIAA, Lions sat at 2-1. But then they had to prepare for another road trip. When we come back, we will talk about Tuesday's game in Bolivar against the SBU Bearcats. Stay with us.
Kind of a crackerjack atmosphere. Their students really get involved in the game. They're right on top of you, and they can try to get in your head a little bit. And if you let them get in your head, it'll affect your game. So it's a situation where you just have to go out and play with toughness. And again, you know, the MIAA conference, the visiting teams have not had a lot of success this year. So it was an important game because we felt like it was a game that if we went up and played well, we would have a chance to win the basketball game. And fortunately, you know, we were able to do some positive things. We were up 9.5, and then they would not quit. They wouldn't go away. It was one of those things where every time you felt like we got into a little comfort zone, they would come right back. And we were never comfortable until the clock said 0-0-0.
And even at that point, it was kind of as, I mean, they were coming down and chucking up threes and hitting a lot of them. But what's your thought? I mean, in the first half, you guys, I think you built the lead up to, I know, 9-11. And I know it got bigger midway through the second half, really. But was it a point that you were just begging these guys to close this team out? Because it's like you say, it is tough to win on the road in this league.
Well, it was a grind because I felt like our guys, once we got it up to 15, we got up to 15, I think 4 different occasions, and we never could expand on that. And every time we got in that situation, it seemed like we kind of rushed some things offensively. We became lackadaisical on defense, and all of a sudden they hit 2 or 3 threes, and now it's a 5-6 point ball game. The closest they got was within 4 at one point, and it was a situation that, you know, the game was never in hand where we felt like, you know, we've got this thing. But at the same token, I always felt confident that we were going to win the basketball game. So it was one of those strange games in the fact that, you know, you got to give Southwest Baptist a lot of credit because, again, they hit a lot of big shots, and they kept battling. They kept coming at us, and, you know, you got to give our guys credit, too. Every time we bent a little bit, we never did break. We would come right back and get it back up there. So it was kind of one of those funny games that you were never comfortable, but yet you weren't uncomfortable either.
You guys get the 4th 28-point performance of the year from a player, and Osiris Ricardo this time also had 12 rebounds. Very impressive game, 11 of 12 from the floor, 6 of 8 from the free throw line. A thing a lot of people probably don't realize about Big O is that he's a very good free throw shooter.
He is, and he works at it, and he does a nice job. He usually has a game or two where he doesn't shoot the three as well as what he does in other games, but overall, he's usually about a 70% shooter. And, you know, the thing with him, I felt like we got him involved early. And we gave him the ball where all he had to do was catch and shoot. And for the first time in 3 games, because both the Washburn and the Truman State game, they played a lot of sagging type man, and they did a lot. Whenever he got the ball, they doubled and triple teamed him. For the first time in a while, you know, they didn't play the sagging man-to-man to where we were able to give him the ball, and he did a great job of catching the ball down lower than what he did in the previous 2 games. Plus, as I mentioned, all he had to do was catch and score the points.
And he did that quite a bit. 89-81 Lions win it, improving to 11-1, 3-1 in the MIAA. As for the women, it was another solid outing, just not the one that led to a W. After their 8-point loss, I spoke with head coach Amy Townsend.
Amy, tough ball game tonight, losers by 8, but I think the past 3 games, you guys have really played some tough basketball.
Well, you know, tonight we played the #1 team in the region, basically. You know, 24th team in the country against Truman State. And Washburn is someone who typically is always very good. As a coach right now, I'm kind of elated. I mean, I'm very proud of this basketball team. Felt like we played a very good team to 8 points. Had a chance, had a foul at the end, and I don't know if I can say anything, but, you know, we just have to keep the effort up in practice and kind of be hungry for the next victim.
This game was one in which you guys would close the gap a lot, even led a little bit in the first half, and coming back in the second half, but that 3 ball just really took you out of things, or maybe, I don't know, I don't want to say the dagger in the heart, but kind of stepped on some momentum a little bit there.
Well, you know, they made 7 in the first half, and if you look at stats, we both shot the exact same percentage, and they just made 5 more threes than we did. But we knew that was going to happen, Mike. You know, nothing that is a surprise when you watch SBU play. 2 very good shooters. You know, so it's one of those things where we thought we had to give up some of that defensively and play some zone because they weren't going to expect us to do that. I think it worked great to our situations. You know, in 40 minutes of basketball, you're going to make some mistakes. We did that. I thought a huge play was when Atlanta dove after the ball, which I thought would have been a no call. But that's the way the ball bounces, and we were right in the game the whole way.
Certainly no time to rest. You do have a couple of days to get ready for Emporia. This is a team that, wow, the past 2 years especially, you're talking about a Final Four team. They're ranked 3rd in the country right now, and they sit atop the MIAA. Your thoughts on that game Saturday?
Well, you know, just like I said before, we've just kind of talked about victims a little bit to our players. It's been really impressive to me as a coach that we've hung in there. I mean, in the last 3 games we've fought, Mike, you know, better than we did preseason. You know, Emporia is no stranger to us. The big thing about it, we play great at home, and I think our players are looking at it like, hey, let's go. Bring your game here and let's play hard. You know, and I think it'll be just like tonight. We're going to fight. We're going to stay in the game. We just got to play smart.
Do you think it's just a matter of maybe getting over the hump? Do you think it's going to take 1 win maybe for these girls?
Well, you know, as a coach, you walk in there and you're like, oh, we're so close. I mean, I feel like we're right there. The hard part about that is that these players want a win so bad. You know, they need a win. So moral victories are a little hard to discuss. And I think our older players really realize where we're at. We're sitting right there. We've got some young players playing some great minutes. Again, we just have to stay hungry in practice, and I think that's real important for us right now.
And it's back to the LAPAC on Saturday. Coming up, Coach and I will talk about the Emporia State Hornets 3 o'clock ball game this afternoon. Stay with us. TV, Coach, Hornets from Emporia State are in town this afternoon. Game time in about a half hour at the Leggett & Platt Athletic Center. You guys have won 2 straight. They're coming off an overtime loss at home Wednesday night against Washburn, and what was probably a really good game to watch there.
Well, they shot the 3 extremely well. They were 15 for 33 from the 3 in that basketball game. Peoples for them took 20 of their attempts and made 9. So it's going to be a challenge for our defense to get out and extend the 3. Also, our 2 constants, our defense and our rebounding, have got to be solid. And then we got to make sure we execute. We don't play rush basketball on the offensive end. We just have a little patience, and we feel like if we have the patience, we can get a good shot. And that's what it's going to take. You got to get good looks every time we get the basketball.
You guys have had quite a bit of success against the Hornets recently. You've won the past 3 against Emporia State. What do these games with Emporia come down to usually?
Well, the big thing with them is they do a great job of executing their offense, and they do some really neat stuff on the offensive end. And we've got defense that we can't afford to give these teams looks. Also, it comes down to just the little things. You know, we got to get the loose balls. We got to make sure we step in there and take the charges. We got to get the rebounds and stuff. So we got to get other opportunities for our team. And I think the the big difference in the times that we've played is the team that have gotten extra opportunities on rebounds or steals, loose balls, those type of things have had a big advantage.
Well, we've heard from the coach concerning the Hornets. Time to hear from some of Southern's players.
It's going to be a tough game. I know they are a good team. So we need to focus, what we're going to do in defense, offense, and do it in the game. And I know if we do it, we're going to win the game.
From what I know, they're shooting the three real good right now. I heard one guy's fired 23s in the last game, so we got to get out and defend the three.
Home court is like we got to win every game here. Like we undefeated now, so we can't lose against Emporia because we got to be number one in the conference too. We're tied with Washburn, I think. So we got to win tomorrow and keep going from there.
We like to protect this place. You know, it is our home, and we've adopted it this year, coming in and playing very well here. So we got to keep that up, regardless of whether we're at home or whether we're away. We got to defend any court. So we got to treat every court as our own.
And I'm sure you agree with the players that you've pretty much just got to worry about yourself right now. You really don't worry about another team.
Well, that's exactly right. In this league, if you start overlooking somebody, you get humbled pretty quick. And the most important thing for us is just play it game by game and practice by practice and do it day by day. And right now, our focus is on Emporia State.
Sounds good. Well, best of luck to you this afternoon. We'll see you out there at the gym. As we leave you this afternoon, names of the people who work on the show, accompanied by music and highlights. And just like during football season, we're Wang Chunging it for the first show. We'll see you at the game and back here next week.
Y'all ready? Yeah! Y'all ready? Yeah! Y'all ready? Yeah! What time is it? Yeah, time. What time is it? Yeah, time. What time is it? Yeah, time. Woo! Go, Southern, go!
Not reverse it right into Blake. Oh, you're coming. Look for him. We got the staggered double from Carlos Escalera coming on.
Secondary ace. We got to run first. That's when we're getting our look. 1, 2, 3.
Stay down. Stay down. Solid defensive. That's where it starts right there. Offensive looks pushed up. Thankful. 4 games could be good to us.
Every one of you better pick off somebody on the screen. And board. It's a zone. You're going Lakers.
Defense on 3. 1, 2, 3. Defense. Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody have fun.
What happens if you have computer problems after 5?
King, and I really just wanted to say their names on TV. I predicted that a win against Western without Carlos Escalera, and you guys would be in Louisville by season's end. Your thoughts, if any?
We're just taking it game by game. We're just concentrating on this afternoon's game against Northwest. And that's one thing this team has done a really good job of so far this year, Mike, is that they've avoided peaks and valleys. They've pretty much been on a nice plateau, and they realize that once you start thinking you're pretty good, you can get humbled pretty quick in this league. So we're just taking it game by game, and right now our focus is on Northwest Missouri.
Pressure was on Pitt State last year, and that I wanted them to get me back to Louisville, back around home for the Elite Eight. Now, you wear that crown this year. That's going to do it for this week's show, folks. Go to the game. The next 3, in fact, because they're at home. Place holds 3,500, and it shouldn't be packed for just Pitt State games. In case you hadn't noticed, the men are ranked 13th in the country, tops in the region. They've won 6 straight, and to avoid sounding too technical, they are pretty darn good. For this guy, I'm Mike Olmstead. Enjoy highlights now with music from Republica.
Bling, bling, baby. Number 1, baby.
Yeah.
distance. Come on now, let's go. Come on. X3, 0-2. 1-2, X2.
Wake up and in that dream yet. We still feel like we got some things we want to accomplish, and that's the attitude this basketball team has had from October 15th. They've pretty well had a business-like attitude, and there's certainly some things out there they still want to accomplish.
Had some adversity thrown at you so far this year. A lot of Carlos Escalera out for a few games. You lose Guaya. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Carlos Newberry in a little bit of shooting slump, but people are always there to back each other up, and it says a lot for this team, the character of this team.
Well, I think you hit on it right there, character. And we've got a basketball team that I feel like we can do without some guys short term, but I'd certainly hate to go long term without Guaya Santiago, without Carlos Escalera, without any of the 10 guys that we have playing. So it's been a situation where we realize on the short term that someone has to step up and do a little bit more than usual. They've been able to do that.
Well, let's get to the highlights. We're going to rewind things back to 2 weeks ago today when the Lions went to Kirksville to face Truman State. Following that, it was back home against Southwest Baptist.
An MIAA opponent hadn't beaten Truman State on its home floor in 12 tries, dating back to last season. Carlos Newberry in the starting lineup in place of the injured Carlos Escalera on that Saturday afternoon. Lions came out smoking, Guaya Santiago providing an early glimpse of how his shooting touch would be in this one. Later, the dime to Newberry for the deuce. Carlos with 12 on the afternoon. Southern led 9-0 following this baseliner from Terry Shumpert. In fact, during the opening 20 minutes of play, the Green and Gold shot 55% from the floor, including 5 of 9 from three-point range. They also out-rebounded the Bulldogs 21-8. 39-28 the score at the break. Second half, Santiago from 3 kept the Lions' lead at 11. But their shooting touch escaped them for a while. Last year's Division II semifinalists would get their home crowd in it as they started trimming away at the Southern lead. But it looked as if the Lions survived a run. 52-39 the count after Brad Manspill counted for 3. Later, a 14-point game when Shumpert went 3-balling. He scored 15, had 6 boards, 2 steals. Then came Truman's surge, a 16-2 run. 57-57 ball game with 3:33 left. Then came a Lion run, 10 straight points. Started with a huge tip from Shumpert. Next time, Leo Gomez with heads-up play led to a Santiago 3. Career-high 18 points for the sophomore. Later, the unconventional three-point play was the dagger in the heart. Lions snapped Truman's aforementioned MIAA home winning streak, 68-62 your final. Next, a middle-of-the-week affair with SBU. Bearcats the only team all season to net 80 or more points against the Lions. And guess who was back and in the starting lineup? Los would score a game-high 22 in this one. Lions out to a 10-2 lead. After a timeout, Bearcats seemed to get pumped when Dusty Dankins went dunking. Back the other way, Leo Gomez scored 6 straight Southern points. He'd record his first career double-double at MSSC, 15 points, 10 boards. The bench, as they've done all season, played a key part as well. Blake Bard with the bomb. Lions didn't play great, but never relinquished their lead. 44-32 at halftime. Second half, 8 straight SBU points made it a 4-point game. Lions nonchalantly answered that with a 23-5 run. The lead never got below 13. 4 single-season school records were tied at the time after this one. Consecutive home wins at 11, consecutive conference wins at 11, and consecutive wins overall also at 11. It was also the 8th time the Lions had held an opponent to under 60 points. Your final, 80-59, Missouri Southern.
Couple of quality wins, and they got a couple more. When we come back, the lead man and I will show you Emporia State and Pitt State highlights. We'll be right back.
Well, Guy called me Saturday morning and said, Coach, I've been up all night. So we got a hold of Marty Conklin. We got him out to the hospital because he was fairly dehydrated, and they started getting fluids in him. We were scheduled to leave about 9 o'clock, and I called out the hospital and talked to the doctor before we were to leave, and he said there's just no way this young man can make the trip and play. So the bus ride up there was a long ride for me because Guay is the one guy you really don't know how you're going to do without your playmaker out there. But David Ragland stepped up and played a tremendous basketball game. Carlos Escalera stepped his game up and got us out of the gate quick. And it's a situation like we talked about earlier that even though we were without one of the guys, other guys stepped up and did a little bit more than what they'd been doing.
Carlos, in fact, scored the game's first 12 points for you guys, and it was nice to see him get back hot again like we've seen so many times this year. Well, he was definitely wanting the basketball in that game, and our guys did a nice job of finding him. They realized that he had the hot hand. They were double-teaming Osiris the entire game, so it opened up some other things, and Carlos was able to step up and really produce for us. Carlos has 18 points in the first half. You guys shoot 52% from the floor. Also, 5 of 13 from three-point range, right at 39%. 13 first-half three-pointers. Don't know if you've shot that many all year in the first half of a basketball game. Well, that's a little bit more than what we would like to shoot. We're not a three-point shooting basketball team, evident by our statistics, but we feel like we have guys who can step up and shoot that shot when the need to ask for it. So, you know, it was a situation where, as I said earlier, that they were double-teaming Osiris, and we had a little bit more three-point looks than what we normally would have. You guys are up 40-24 after one half of play. This was a blowout win at the Leggett and Platt Athletic Center when they came to town last month. Going into this thing, did you even foresee that on the road, especially in this league, that it would be a 29-point victory without Guaya? There's no way. If you look at what they've done this year, they've beaten Northwest, they've beaten Truman State at home. The Washburn game was in overtime where one of their players had his toe touching the three-point line at the end of regulation and tied the game. If he'd been back another inch, they'd have won the basketball game. So they played everybody close, with the exception of Missouri Western. Went over there and got them by about 20 points. So we were expecting a tough basketball game. Then you compound that with the fact that Guaya not being there, and our team had never had to play without Guaya this year. So you really didn't know how we would respond. But, you know, again, I'm awfully proud of the way our guys responded. And David Ragland's play, freshman out of Evansville, Indiana, just amazing that he stepped up, because had this happened at the beginning of the conference season, I don't know if we would have seen maybe a 29-point victory or seen David do some of the things that he did, but he distributed the ball very well, and he played very heady basketball. Well, I agree with you, Mike. A month ago, David might not have been able to do that, but he has really played solid basketball for us. Since the conference play really started, after the first week or so of conference play, he has really settled in, and he's really growing as a basketball player. Chris Lowry, my assistant, does a tremendous job with him. He's probably on him a little bit too hard at times, you know, but he's kind of like, as David said in the paper the other day, that he's like his big brother, you know, that when the need calls for him to get on to him, he'll be the first one to get on to him, but whenever somebody needs to pat him on the back, Chris will be the first guy to pat him on the back, too. You guys play pretty good defense in the Emporia game. You limit them to 33% shooting from the floor, also just 55 points, the 9th time this season that the Lions have held a team to under 60 points. That's a new school record. You've also, at the time, had won 12 in a row, and that in conference and overall, that set 2 new single-season records. And a lot of records will probably be broken as a result of this basketball team. It is a very good one. As for your final point achievers, Carlos Escalera scored 28, 13 from Carlos Newberry. He's been playing very well the past few ball games. Get 12 from Terry Shumpert. We'll hear from him later. Blake Bard had a good ball game in that one. 5 of 7 from the floor, 4 from three-point range, had 13 points. no turnovers. Blake's been playing pretty well for you, hasn't he?
Blake has really played solid basketball for us, and he's given us quality minutes off the bench, and he's really accepted his role. And the one thing that I really like about our basketball team, we've got guys who are coming off the bench that have been starters most of their life. And they have accepted that role. They know they're going to play, and that's important. You know, they know they're going to get quality minutes, and Blake, along with the rest of the bench, has really produced for us in a lot of different games.
84-55 is your final in that one. When we come back, we're going to talk about the game that media idiots like myself and fans hype more than the players and coaches. That would be the Pittsburg State game. Stay with us. We're back in a couple minutes.
Let the games begin at the second annual KSN Sports Fitness and Hobby Show, February 25th, 26th, and 27th at the North Park Mall.
Welcome back. People in the back are yelling in my ear, and it's always a good time. Coach, you take a 12-game winning streak in the John Lance Arena a few nights ago up in Pittsburg, Kansas. They were coming off a loss at home against Washburn. It snapped their 47-game regular season home winning streak at the time. So they had that on their minds, along with a 15-point loss to you guys from a month ago.
Well, we knew it was going to be a tough basketball game, Mike. Pittsburg State plays physical, and we had to match that physicalness if we were going to have a chance in the basketball game. Plus, I feel like it's important that we shoot a good percentage. So many times on the road, you're concerned about how you're going to shoot the basketball. And if you go there and shoot in the low 40s, high 30s, you're not going to give yourself a chance to win the game. So I feel like those were keys. Plus, I thought the biggest key might have been the rebounding. And with their physical nature, we had to make sure that we were physical enough on the boards to get our share of the rebounds. And we got out-rebounded by one, but overall, I was pretty pleased with the way our players handled the physical game.
You guys jump out to a 17-7 lead. A lot of that 7 points coming from Carlos Escalera. You're getting good production from Osiris in that early going. Disappointed at all that you didn't just insert the dagger right away, or did you know that maybe you couldn't up there?
Well, Pittsburg State's got a lot of pride, and they will not quit, and we knew that. And it was a situation where every time we would make a run, they would counter with a run of their own. But then, to our guys' credit, we would counterattack that and come right back with another little run. So, you know, it was a situation where we never felt like we were losing control of the basketball game, but yet we were never comfortable either, because we knew Pittsburg State was very capable of coming back and winning the basketball game. So, you know, to our guys' credit, I felt like it was two teams playing with a lot of pride. And anytime you're playing against someone who's really playing with a lot of heart and pride, they won't quit. They're going to keep battling, keep coming back at you, and then you got to counter that, and we were able to do that.
Just one of the most physical ball games you've been in all year. I mean, 27 first-half fouls. You guys combined for 34 first-half free throws. Kevin Grimes said it really well, appropriately on the radio the other night, that every possession, like you said, was full of pride. I mean, they had something to prove every possession, not just them, but both teams are really going at it for that 35 seconds.
Well, I think that's right, Mike. There was no easy baskets out there. And, you know, whenever you're playing a game where there's no easy baskets, everything's going to be a struggle. And whenever you're playing physical and things are a struggle, fouls are going to happen. And, you know, you just look at our foul situation. We had Carlos Newberry picked up his fourth early in the second half. Guaya and Terry Shumpert picked up their fourth, you know, midway through the second half. So we were without some of our guys for long extended time because of foul trouble. But David Ragland did a great job. Brad Mann came in and did a nice job. Leo Gomez did a nice job. Blake Barr did a nice job. Adam Babcock did a nice job. So our bench, again, I feel like, and I've said this time and time again, that our bench has been a big factor in our success. And I think the bench was really gave us some strong minutes again last night.
You guys led by 7 at the break. You expand that a bit in the second half. I think your biggest lead was 15. But you knew that they were going to come back, and they did. They hit some big shots. Brandon Pate quite possibly could be the best one-on-one point guard in this league. He is phenomenal, not just the way he handles the ball, but the way he shoots the ball. He had 28 in that game, led all scorers. Talk about it. It seemed like maybe the last 10 minutes of the game lasted probably about an hour and a half. Did you think it was ever going to be over with?
As you mentioned, it seemed like it lasted an eternity. And the game the other night was just, I didn't think it was ever going to end. You know, it was one of those things where they were fouling, and that was the only thing they could do because they were running out of time on the clock. So they did what they had to do, and then they also did what they had to do by scoring on the other end. We weren't able to stop them. Fortunately, we were able to make enough free throws to maintain the cushion there. But it was a situation where it took a long time to play out. But fortunately, you know, again, we were able to step the line. We took care of the basketball, number one, and then we were able to make our free throws.
The win, 87-79, moved you guys to 14-1 in the MIAA, extend your winning streak to 13 straight games. Also, 22nd win, the most, as we mentioned, in his 11 years, and we still have more games to go. Let's take a look at the conference standings right now. First, on the men's side, they are led, of course, by 7th-ranked Missouri Southern. Backer, congrats on the new 7th ranking this week. Should mention that Lions have already clinched the first-round home game in the MIAA postseason tournament. Washburn remains 2 games back. Western and Northwest tied for 3rd. Central Missouri State is 5th. Pitt State is also 5th at 8-7 in league play. Still weird to say that Truman State is tied for 7th in the conference. Emporia State, SBU, and Rollo round out the men's standings. On the women's side of things, Emporia State continues to look impressive. They're followed by Central, SBU, Western, and Pitt State. Tied with the Gorillas are the Truman State Lady Bulldogs at 9-6 in the conference. You see the rest. Now, the Lady Lions still mathematically have a shot at the postseason, but they have a tough road as Central and Western are their next 2 opponents. I talked about those games as well as goals with head coach Amy Townsend at practice on Thursday.
Amy, let's talk about goals. 3 games left in the regular season. Mathematically, you're not out of the conference tournament picture, but I know that teams make new goals as the season goes along. What are some of your goals right now?
Well, I think the ultimate thing for us is we have to work harder and practice every day. And after a performance like we had against Pittsburgh State, it's pretty disheartening to walk back into a practice-type situation and not give everything, at least get a good sweat up and realize that you got to make a positive out of a negative and do the best we can on the floor. And right now, that's what we're focusing on because we need to win one more game. And it's really the only thing that's our focus is to win one more game, and to do that, we got to work hard today. You know, our heads are okay. We're walking to practice and feeling pretty good about ourselves, but we want to win so bad that, you know, it's been difficult. And the key for us is to put our best game on the floor for 40 minutes.
Amy, best of luck tonight.
Thank you.
Hey, stay with us. When we come back, we'll talk about tonight's game with Central Missouri State. We'll also hear from sophomore guard Terry Shumpert. We'll be right back.
He has the ability to score big baskets in times, whatever the game calls for, he's able to give us, whether it's defense on a certain player, whether it's just moving the basketball, making decisions. He's a basketball player, Mike, and that's the big thing about it. I think we've got a good blend of good athletes with basketball players, and Terry Shumpert's a basketball player.
Most impressively in the past 4 or 5 ball games, really all season, on again, off again, he's been doing it with back problems, and you know, it's something that every athlete has done, and that is playing with pain. The other day, I talked to the Paducah, Kentucky native about playing with pain and about the season overall.
All right, Terry, talk about the back and playing through pain thus far this season, past 4 or 5 ball games especially.
Well, the last couple weeks, the pain's been real bad, but I just come out, played through it. The trainer's been working me, giving me treatment, and they've been helping me a whole lot.
Talk about this season. It's been a lot of fun for you compared to last year, right?
Oh, yeah, man. It's been a lot of fun this season. We're off to a good start, and, man, we just want to finish the season out undefeated.
You guys even considering a national championship right now? It ranks 7th in the nation, still tops in the region. You've been there for about 4 or 5 weeks running now. Has the thought of a national title entered your mind yet? I know you want to finish out the regular season in the MIAA and go through the conference tournament, but what about those national title hopes?
Well, it's been a little talks, you know, but we're still going to be focused on conference and then try to go out and win the regional.
Hey, that's going to do it for this week's show. Game times are 6 and 8 tonight at the LAPAC. For Robert Lewis, I'm Michael Andrew. As we leave you tonight, some Smash Mouth, but first, a really bad spin-off of a popular commercial. See you next week. Yo.
What's up? What's that? The way that you walk, it's just the way that you talk, like it ain't no thing. And every single day is just a thing. Then the morning comes. Take your knock, shake 'em off, duck everybody. You're gonna take 'em again.
go out and do my job. But love for the game.
The way that you walk, it's just the way that you talk, like it ain't no thing, and every single day is just a fling, and when it comes to you, so, kinda like you're saying, I told you so, looking back before she goes, tomorrow's on
It's great coaching. Defense stays solid. They're going to shoot threes. Just get out contested threes. One and out. Nothing changes, guys.
You want to try your imitation? Carlos did it earlier.
Imitation of what?
What's that?
Did you see that? Yeah.
What do you got for me, dude? What do you got?
Do that. Not on camera, man. I can't do that.
the world's a stage, the world's a fade, and the end is near. So push rewind just in time, think anybody. It's just the way that you walk. The way that you talk, like it ain't no thing. And every single day is just a fling. And when it comes to you, kinda like you're saying, I told you so. Looking back before she goes, then the morning comes.
Yeah, baby, what? Number one, baby, what? Number one, baby,
It'll be a night of double incentive as a win over Missouri Western at the LAPAC, and they'll win their first ever regular season MIAA conference title.
Well, that was our goal from day one, and I'm glad we finally have a chance to achieve it. And let be our main goal approach tomorrow's game, and hopefully it'll happen.
They're gonna try to make a point that they can still win without the best player, and we're gonna be playing the same. I mean, we're gonna play the same way we play over there, like they have Dickerson on, and we're just gonna play this game like we play all the other games.
Without Dickerson, they're going to be, I think they're actually going to, they may be better. I think he was kind of lazy last time and may have brought them out of their offense and things like that, but they're still a very talented team. We can't overlook that fact.
Well, the big thing is we want to continue playing good basketball, and we want to keep playing with a lot of confidence. The only way you do that is winning. Certainly, right now we have a share of the conference championship. We'd like to get the whole piece, and the only way you do that is by winning. So the game against Missouri Western is a very important game to us.
I'm pretty excited about that, so we'll probably celebrate a little bit if we won this game.
All right, guys, thanks. Good luck. Folks, you can hear more from the Lions Saturday morning on the Lions Den. We'll recap the past couple of games and preview the regular season finale against Northwest Missouri State and their Bearcats. We'll also hear from the three seniors you just heard from, Carlos Newberry, Osiris.
Basketball with Mike Olmstead and head coach Robert Korn.
Hi there, welcome to this week's show, a show in which we'll talk about the first regular season conference championship won by Missouri Southern. Also on the program, highlights from the past couple of games, which includes Wednesday night's title-clinching contest against Missouri Western. We'll also pay tribute to the three Lions seniors on this year's team. And we'll preview this afternoon's regular season finale contest against a very hot Northwest Missouri State club. First, we introduce the man whose team is now 24-1, winners of 15 straight and ranked 5th in America, head coach Robert Korn. You also boast a regular season conference championship for the first time in your 11 years with the Lions. Congratulations.
Well, thanks, Mike. Wednesday night was an exciting night for Missouri Southern, and particularly our players and our coaching staff. And anytime you have an opportunity to cut down nets, you got to feel like it's been a very rewarding season. And one thing that we'd like to do is we appreciate your interest in our program. We appreciate you doing this show for us to give our players some recognition, and we'd like to give you part of the net.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And actually, Blake Bard kind of beat you to the punch. He gave me a little piece of it last night. Everybody was welching on a piece of the net last night. It certainly was a very memorable experience, and better yet, you do it in a new building. So much has been said about the LAPAC all year, and you guys are unbeaten there. And you talked about the emotional for you. It was also emotional for a lot of the people that had been involved with the program. I know that I got to see Don Gross walk up to you afterwards, and he had tears in his eyes hugging you after the game. A lot of emotion out there.
Well, there's no doubt, Mike. It was a very emotional evening for a lot of people who've been around the program and who've kind of suffered through the lean years like we have the last few years. The late Jim Valvano once said that every day you should experience your emotions. And I can't recall all the emotions he said, but I know that 2 of them were laughing and crying, and both those emotions were expressed the other night in our big celebration. And it really made it neat to have our fans there, to be a part of it, because, as you mentioned, a lot of people go way back, and you know, they've experienced and they've been there through the tough times, so it's always rewarding to see them have an opportunity to experience the good times with us as well.
Well, before Wednesday night's contest against Missouri Western, you guys had to get by a very talented bunch from Central Missouri State. That was on Saturday. That also at home. You guys had beaten them earlier in the month of January. You used a 15-2 run in the second half to pull that one off and win by 17 points in Warrensburg. Talk a little bit about the Mules. This was the most physical ball club probably in the conference, talent-wise. Didn't play well as a team last time out, but they did something that, did it shock you that they tried to slow the game down on Saturday?
We were a little surprised by that, because if you look at their basketball team, Hughley is as athletic as any center in the league. Green and Price are very talented players. Fowler is a very good complement to his brother Hughley on the inside. So we were a little surprised that they tried to do that, because they are pretty much an up-tempo team, but at the same token, with the 35-second clock, you still have to shoot the basketball at some time. And I thought our first few possessions, we did a good job defensively. After that, they hit 2 or 3 tough shots right at the buzzer, and when that happens, you know, it kind of deflates your ego a little bit on the defensive end. Plus, I think the big factor in the ball game was they played zone, which really hampered us. It put us in slow motion, and we weren't nearly as sharp offensively as what we need to be.
And there was a lot of impatience on your part as well, wasn't there?
Well, there's no doubt. There was several times where it was come down in one pass and a shot. And if you don't make that shot, you don't give yourself an opportunity to get offensive putbacks. And you know, they were doing a great job on the boards. And then in the second half, when we did start playing a little bit better defense, they just completely controlled the boards on us. So, you know, you compound that factor with us being a little impatient on the offensive end, plus their ability to attack us on the glass, really made it difficult for us to overcome.
For 38 minutes, it was kind of a helter-skelter Lions performance, but you mentioned this after the game. The things you had to do the last 2 minutes of the game, you guys did. You found yourself in a deficit. You came back, played good defense. Carlos Newberry misses a 3, come back, play good defense, gets a charge. He comes down and hits a huge one with the guy in his face.
Well, there's no doubt. Carlos came off the bench in that particular instance. Carlos Escalera fouled out and really made 4 huge plays for us. I believe, to kind of tell you how the evening went, I had an email the next day from a guy who came and watched the game, and it was the first game that he'd had an opportunity to watch us play, and he said, I realized it probably wasn't one of your better efforts, but he said, your kids expected to win down the stretch. And I think that's what good teams have to do. You're going to be put in those situations where you've got to step up and make plays, and I think our guys are playing with that confidence right now that good teams do, where they feel like they have the ability to step up and make the big plays when necessary.
72-67 was your final move Southern to 15-1 in the conference, 23-1 overall. They were ranked 7th. Then they would move up a couple of notches as the days went on. When we come back, it's back to Wednesday's senior night contest against Missouri Western. We'll be right back. Missouri Western, senior night, chance at clinching the outright MIAA title. Griffins without leading scorer Randy Dickerson. It all seemed to favor you guys, but they were going to have something to say about it, weren't they?
Well, Missouri Western's a very good basketball team. Tom Smith is an excellent coach, and you knew they were going to come in here and play solid basketball, and we were going to have to play well to have a chance to win the game. The thing that concerned us going in was the fact that they were playing with 5 smaller players, and they had 5 guys who had the capability of beating you off the dribble. So we knew they would try to spread the floor a little bit. Plus, you put in the fact that they're outstanding three-point shooters. So it was going to be a challenge for our defense to make sure we guarded the dribbler pretty well. Plus, it wasn't a help and recover where we couldn't get back out on the three-point shooters. So they certainly presented some problems for us.
They built the lead up to 18-10 at one point. You guys were forcing some turnovers, getting some picks from them, but it was hard for you to turn those into points. It was a woeful shooting performance in the early going. I think you were 3 for your first 13, so it was kind of tough to put the ball in the basket early.
Well, I felt like we played a little rushed early, and to to kind of give you an indication of how I felt the game was going. The first time out, I just tried to calm the guys down, just tell them to relax. I felt like we were playing a little tight at that particular instant, and I just wanted to make sure that we played the way we'd played all year, and that had been pretty loose. So at the first time out, that's the way we kind of addressed it. The second time out has a little matter. So we addressed it a different way because I knew that we had to pick things up and had to start doing some things a lot more quickly and smoothly than what we had up to that point. So, and the guys responded. I felt like we finally put together 4 or 5 pretty solid minutes in the first half, which overcame the 8-9 point deficit that we had at one point in the first half and allowed us to go in at halftime with a lead.
It was an 11-0 run, started with a Carlos Newberry 3. Carlos Escalera also had a 3 layup during that stretch, and in fact, Carlos really carried you in the first half with 12 points in the early going. 32-30 was your score at halftime. Lions shot 46% from the floor, out-rebounded the Griffins 23-15. And then you come out from halftime, and it just seemed like maybe you shouldn't even gone into a halftime break. It just seemed like you guys were a step behind everything.
Well, that's exactly right. I thought we had the crowd into it. We were doing some things positive in the first half. We came out the second half, and again, you know, we just seemed like we were very lethargic. We weren't very quick. Missouri Western was beating us to balls, and you know, it was just a struggle out there for a long period of time to get any type of continuity going on the offensive end in particular. I did think we were doing a decent job defensively. I thought we did a nice job on the boards, but trying to get some fluidness out of our offense was just a struggle the entire game.
Lou Williams hit some big threes, and it got back to what you mentioned about them going smaller, and it was hard for Osiris to get out there and guard him because he gets too tight, he can go around him. If he sags a little bit, then he's busting that 3.
Well, that's exactly right. They had a hard matchup for Osiris, and you know, we finally had to go with a little bit smaller lineup. Carlos Newberry got hurt during that stretch, so we went with Leo Gomez, who I felt like played a tremendous basketball game. Brad Mann, we moved him to the center spot in hopes that we could get out and defend a little bit better, and Brad really came up with some big plays in the second half. Blake Bard really got us going in the second half. So we finally started hitting some shots, and we finally started getting some things, some open looks that we weren't really hitting earlier, and we weren't really getting. I felt like a big key in the basketball game was first half we were very careless with the ball. We had 13 turnovers at halftime. Second half we only had 2, and I felt like that was a big key in the game.
During a 5-minute stretch in that second half, you guys scored 18 unanswered, kind of like up in St. Joe when you went on a 17-0 run. So really closed them out and ended the game, I think, on a 28-6 run, something like that. Blake Bard was huge, had 10 points, and as if the crowd wasn't in it enough when you guys started scoring some buckets, and Brad Mann especially. It wasn't falling from the outside in the early going. He had some layups, got his confidence back, hit a huge 3 for you. Then when Blake scored, I think about 8 of the 10 points at one point, his actions and his antics really got that crowd into it, and it was probably the loudest that that place has been all season long.
Well, I thought our crowd was really great. I thought they really got involved in the game. And I agree. You know, one thing I felt like we were lacking throughout most of the game was some enthusiasm, some energy. And I felt like the guys off the bench really came in and gave us both those things. I thought David Ragland had a heck of a game the second half in particular, where, you know, it was David Ragland, it was Blake Bard, it was Brad Mann. Those 3 guys were in there during that stretch run, and that's 3 guys off the bench, which we said time and time again this year that our bench has been a difference maker for us, and they were again Wednesday night.
Certainly were. 78-56 was your final. Moved the Lions to 16-1, 24-1. They are now ranked 5th in America. Wanted to mention that Guy Santiago broke the single-season record for assists. He needed 7 last night, sat on 6 for a little bit. I think he even walked up to Joe Moore and said, "How many do I have?" And Joe said, "You're sitting on 6." So he wanted to get another dime out there. So he's done it in only 2 seasons, which is remarkable. This guy is going to break some records as far as steals and assists goes with this team, and perhaps even in the conference. Well, 1 game remains on the regular season schedule. That's this afternoon's affair in Maryville with Northwest Missouri State. We'll give you a preview of that one a bit later. When we come back, a look at the MIAA standings. We'll also hear from the 3 Lion seniors. Don't go away. Truman, Emporia State, SBU, Missouri Rolla round out the standings.
Women's graphics look like this. Emporia surviving a scare Wednesday against Pitt State. Closes the regular season today at home against Central Missouri State, so the ladies' title is still up for grabs. And it's a weird occurrence for the MIAA women today. Their opponents are right next to them in the standings. Emporia plays Central, SVU plays Western. Pitt State is at Truman, Washburn and Rolla square off, as do Southern's Lady Lions and Northwest Missouri State. Amy Townsend's women, by the way, saw their postseason tournament hopes nullified Wednesday. Let's get back to the men and talk postseason tournament. Lions will open play at home Tuesday against 8-seed Emporia State, while 2-seed Washburn will face 7-seed Truman State. Those two games are definite, but now you've got Western, Central, and Pitt all vying for position heading into today's contest, so it's a log jam and one where they want to battle for seedings now, right?
Well, there's no doubt that's a big matchup there because one of them's going to be fourth, and so they'll get the home court. So today's game is very important for each and every one of those teams to go out and play well. Nice to know that you know who you're going to play. You know, you knew it on, I guess, on Wednesday night that you were going to play Emporia State because Truman had won and Emporia had lost. So you faced them twice already, but it's nice to know you can have a little bit of extra planning. Well, you really don't have that much extra planning because our attention on Thursday and Friday have been for this game today against Northwest. So, and then we'll give the guys tomorrow off, and then we'll get ready on Monday to go against Emporia. But it's nice to know where you're going to be at. It's nice to know you're going to be home number one. It's nice to know that you're definitely in the playoffs. So there's some definitely positive things there. And you mentioned the main thing is guys are in, and it is at home. And it's a home that, while new to the Lions this season, has treated them pretty well. They're undefeated there. Of course, they are undefeated at the LAPAC. That's from the Department of Redundancy Department. That was insured Wednesday night, senior night for both the men and women. We'll hear from the Lady Lions seniors on next week's show. As for their male counterparts, we honor them now. Well, Carlos Newberry, that's the guy you got to start with because he's been here for 4 years, and he's gone through the trials and tribulations, and it's really great to see him going out on such a great year. So Osiris has been with us now for 3 years, and again, you know, anybody that's been with you for a period of time, you're always glad to see them go out on a positive note, and certainly Osiris is doing that. I think it takes a special person to come into a program on 1 year and fit in with all the players, and Brad Mann is one of those type of guys. He's a quality young man, so it's always rewarding to see your 3 seniors go out on a positive note.
We can be heroes just for one day.
I wouldn't change anything if I could, because it would just make this year just more meaningful to me, and I'm glad that they didn't have to go for those previous 3 years. I'm just glad to be here.
From Newberry to get it off for Carlos. She'll pull up on a tough three. Oh, my goodness! We can be heroes. We can be heroes. We can be
I've been enjoying playing here. It's been a great season this year, but we still have a lot to accomplish.
It's been great, and it's going to be sad when it's over, but it could also be a wonderful thing because we've got a lot of games left, I think, in us, and it could be a very, very special thing.
That's what all the players seem to utter, is that, you know, this is nice, but they have a lot of games left in them. They are not complacent whatsoever, and I know you feel the same way.
Well, there's no doubt, Mike, that's what makes this team so special, is the fact that they've really been able to handle the day-by-day process and the game-by-game process. They don't get too high after we win. They certainly didn't get too low whenever Washburn beat us earlier in the year. So they played it at a level keel, and they enjoy being around each other. So they want to keep this thing going as long as we can.
And we hope so, too. Let's go to Louisville. Coming up, this year's Conference and National Coach of the Year and I will talk about Northwest Missouri State. We're back in 2 minutes.
Wake up 4 states to
keys to today's game.
Well, Mike, this game's different than all your other games because we've talked about it's going to be a challenge for our defense. In today's game, it's going to be a challenge for our offense. Northwest plays tremendous defense. Their pressure on the basketball is great. They get out and overplay passing lanes. We got to take care of the basketball and get good shots. So I think that's the big key right there. We've got to do a good job with our offense, and our offense, quite honestly, has been a little stagnant the last couple of games. So it's going to be a good test for us to go up there and just see where we are offensively.
This is what it was like last time when they came to town, and you guys did respond well offensively in that you handled the Bearcats. And I had a chance to see them before you guys played them the first time up at Pittsburg State. They were very physical and got after it, and I know that's how they played against Washburn from just reading about it through the internet and things like that. What do you think the difference will be? Is it the fact that they are at home? Do you think that, like it's been all season long in this league, is that when you're at home, you just kind of rise to another level sometimes?
Well, I think that's the case with most teams. I think when you get the home crowd around you and you get that 6 players attitude, and that's what they pretty much have with their home crowd, it's always been a tough place to play. There's been very few teams in our league that have gone in there and had a lot of success. We've been fortunate. We've played well. We haven't beaten them very often up there, but we've played well for the most part. So it's going to take another outstanding effort on our young guys' part today to have a chance to win the game.
Again, congratulations on the conference championship, the first regular season title since 1980-81. Of course, these Lions were the 93 postseason conference tournament champs. You still kind of on cloud 9 a little bit, or I'm sure you're just ready to take care of business right now.
Well, I told our guys after Wednesday's game to enjoy it. But then when they came to practice on Thursday, let's focus in on Northwest, and that's pretty much the attitude that they've taken.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's fun. Keep in mind, from here on out, we'll keep doing shows as the men go on in the postseason, so we'll be back here definitely next Saturday at 11:30. We'll also review the women's season at that time. For Robert Lewis, I'm Michael Andrew. As we leave you today, post-game celebration from Wednesday's MIAA championship clincher. We'll see you in 7 days.
Yeah, number 1, baby. Number 1, baby. Look what that, number 1.
I'll tell you what, tonight, I've wanted to cut a net down my entire life, and I finally I got to do it. I wanted to do it in the high school, got a state runner-up, so I didn't get to do it. But right now, this feels good, and I wanted to cut both of them down. So I got about 25 pieces of net, and I'm going to decorate my room in net. So it's wonderful.
You be representing like, whoa. Conference champ like, whoa.
I mean, it's fun to win a lot, and conference championship is just a start, you know, to what we can do. And hopefully we'll continue playing well, and I think we can play with any team in the country.
Great year. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Oh, man. It feels great, man. I don't know what can I say. I don't have any words to describe this because this is so big, you know, right now. I feel so good. We're a champion now, you know. What can I say? What can I say? Keep working hard because I want to be the champion, the big champion, you know what I'm saying? The big tournament, that's what I want to do. I go keep playing hard. My teammates, I know they're going to play hard too in practice, doing the job, and we're going to do it, man. We're going to do it.
Oh, man, it feels so good. This is a big turnaround from last season, a big turnaround. Just came out this season from the beginning playing hard, and this is what we strive for, and we got it.
It was a huge impact, I'd say. We were all over them, you know. We got in their head, and they didn't know what to think. So we kicked their butts. That's all I gotta say.
To the camera. You're the man. Yeah, man. You're the man. Number 1, baby. Yeah. Bling, bling, baby. Bling, bling. Hey, we did this as a team. We're doing it again. Keep it up. Right, team on 3. 1, 2, 3. Hit it.
Ricardo for 2. Senior scored 16 tonight in only 24 minutes. Hornets stayed close. Tim Turner busting one of 10 Emporia threes that actually take the lead at 12-11. But unlike Saturday in Maryville, the Lions' defense was a factor. Carlos Escalera stealing, dunking, Southern back on top. They never trailed again. Dennis Burns funny guy. How about the pass from Blake Bard to Leo Gomez? Sweet. Lions up by 4. Lead grew to 7 when Brad Mann screened and rolled and knocked down the 3-ball. 6-point game at the break. Bob Ty and Scoop Pargin offering thumbs, and hello to Megan Emmerich as well. Second half, and we're running with Guaya Santiago. 9 assists tonight. This one to Escalera for 3 the hard way. A bit later, it's Terry Shumpert's turn. He's wheeling, dealing for 2 points. Scored 12. Lead was up to 11. It never got to under 5 the rest of the way. Here's another Santiago assist to Blake Bard. 2 of his 10 points. Escalera led 4 teammates in double digits with 17. Oddly enough, that would be the margin of victory this evening. Here's a look at your final. It's Southern's first MIAA tournament victory since they won the thing back during the 1992-93 season. Santiago, by the way, broke the school's career assist record tonight. He had 9 and not 355. That would be a record because he has 355 for his career. You get that? Okay, thank you. Anyway, that's in only 2 seasons. Pretty impressive. Anyway, after this one, we requested speakers, and they spoke.
We knew they were going to come in here and play with some toughness, and we had to match that toughness. I was really pleased with our defense for about 5-6 minute spurt the second half when we really had to have some defensive stops. We were able to come up and get them, and then we were able to convert on the offensive end.
We played really good defense because last game we were not playing defense at all. They were scoring like 90 points in Northwest. But we played good defense, and we hold them like for 64 points, something like that. So we played really good.
Well, we're very lucky to come in the first round of the conference tournament and play at home, and the crowd is a big thing in getting behind us and motivating us. And no, we didn't come out and play very well at the first tonight, but I think we had some good spurts where we came out and played very well. We do have to come back to work tomorrow and just continue to work on things that we did wrong this evening, because we got to prepare for Pitt State, is what I've heard.
And you heard Bradley correctly. Pitt State beats Missouri Western. Had much more meaning. A guerrilla win tonight and Saturday would get them into the national tournament. A loss and no dice. The Lions, already a lock for the NCAAs, needed to keep winning in hopes of hosting next week's regionals. Yeah, that's what it was, with the gratuitous 15-second lead in out of the way. Here's highlights. Lions out to a quick start, much like the last time they played at the LAPAC. Terry Shumpert, the nice drive for 2. Game's first 2 points, by the way. Later, following a steal, it's Carlos Escalera showing speed and control. Lions on top, 11-5. Pitt answered with a 14-5 run, and Dan Stanley was huge. Cleans up to give the Gorillas a 19-16 lead. Ensuing Southern possession, and as Osiris Ricardo on the nice feed from Blake Bard gets 3 the hard way, tie ball game. It remained neck and neck over the next 7 minutes of play. Down 3, Max Ruark's bucket and 1. Tied it at 34 all. Lions ended the half on a 6-0 run. Bard for 3, 10 points off the bench for the sophomore. Then it's Brad Mann's turn with the old-fashioned 3-point play. Here's what your numbers look like at halftime. Southern up 6. Brandon Pate 1 for 10, but Stanley kept PSU in it with 12 points and 9 rebounds. Second half, a seemingly calm Gene Ibe on the sidelines. Both coaches would work those pretty hard tonight. Lions out of the gates, and it was Carlos Newberry busting the triple, 43-34 Southern. A few possessions later, up 7. Shumpert finds Big O. And he's slicing and dicing for the hoop and the harm, 47-37 Lions. The lead grew girthy when Newberry, feeling it, hitting another bomb. 16-point lead. Didn't stay that way. Michael Jones hit 2 straight 3 balls, 53-43 the count. And the threes were flying in the second half. Bard, money, 63-50 Southern up 13. Brandon Pate found the touch and cut the lead to 5 after his launch landed. Escalera answered with a 3, as did Terry Shumpert. 74-63. Lions kept that advantage for Pitt. Pate, cash, 27 tonight, 22 in the second half. Escalera had 17. His triple made it 84-70. But it wasn't a 3-pointer that we end the highlights on. It's a little style. Escalera with the exclamation mark, and here's your final, 96-85 Missouri Southern. They're in the title game. Shumpert led 5 Lions in double digits. Following this one, participants spoke into a KSN microphone.
Well, Pitt State came out and played very hard. They always do. We knew it was going to be a very competitive game, and we came out and did the things that we needed to do to win the game. So hats off to everybody on our team. We played well together. We came down to crunch time, and we did the things we needed to do.
They were going to come in and try to be physical with us and beat us that way, but we matched it, and we matched intensity. And in a game like that, you can't lose your mind, and they did, and we didn't, and we come out on top.
Well, we knew going in it was going to be very physical, and it was. It was everything that we thought it would be. The thing that concerned us going in was their ability to get the offensive glass, and it really hurt us. Dan Stanley did a great job going there, and we didn't do a very good job of keeping him off there. And as a result, they got some easy baskets out of it. I felt like we fouled too much defensively. We sent them to the free throw line too much. I thought our initial defense wasn't bad, but we were fouling, and then we were giving them second opportunities, and as a result, they were able to get points out of it.
Coach, thanks. Some warm tea tonight might fix those vocals a little bit because you got a tough one on Saturday. Lions will host Northwest Missouri State for MIAA supremacy Saturday evening. Bearcats have won 7 in a row now, including in those 7, a 20-point win over Missouri Southern on Saturday. And the conference tournament portion of the season should say entered because the Lions are now 2/3 of the way away from the MIAA tournament trophy. We'll preview tonight's championship game against Northwest Missouri State. Coach Korn and I will also take a look back at Tuesday's first-round game against Emporia State, as well as Thursday's semifinal matchup with the Pitt State Gorillas. And if you missed it on the news earlier in the week, we'll show you what Lion assistants Chris Lowry and Paul Lusk looked like not so long ago as players. That and so much more on the way. First, we hear from the man whose voice is about shot, and I guess that's the price you pay during tournament time.
Well, there's no doubt, Mike, when you're playing a lot of games in a short period of time, plus battling the flu, your voice has a tendency to be a little strained, but it's a pleasant problem to have because you want to keep playing games.
I guess the flu has kind of bitten the players during the season. Now it kind of gets you at the most important time, but at least it's you and not the players.
If somebody has to have the flu, it better be me,
right,
because we need the players out there playing, and we were able to overcome during the course of the year 2 or 3 different times when players had the flu, and that's what's so great about this team. You know, if somebody's down, somebody else just steps up and picks it up.
Let's get right into the tournament action. We'll kind of talk about the Northwest game from last Saturday a little bit later in the show as we preview tonight's game against the Bearcats. But Tuesday night, you begin the MIAA men's tournament at home, of course, hosting as long as you keep winning. And you've got the Emporia State Hornets. This is a team that in 2 games you beat by a combined total of 64 points during the regular season, but you got back to the key point in that it's not the regular season anymore. We're talking about the postseason.
Well, there's no doubt that anytime you're playing in a tournament, one and you're out, there's a lot more at stake. And certainly Emporia State, we knew was a very capable basketball team. We were very fortunate the first 2 times that we played them in the regular season, the fact that they didn't shoot the 3 very well, and that's one thing they rely on a lot. Against Central Missouri the Saturday before we played them, they'd hit 17 threes, and we knew they were very capable. If they came in and got off on the 3, it was going to be a tough basketball game, and that's exactly what happened. They were 10 for 22 from the 3-point line, and as a result, they hung around for the entire game. We were able there at the very end to kind of put it away, but it was one of those games where I never felt we were in danger of losing the basketball game, but I never felt like we had a comfortable lead either.
Not a lot of emotion at the beginning. Guys came out in the second half a little bit more, but it was something that you thought, why isn't this team playing with emotion? We're in the tournament.
You go through lulls in your season, and we've been very fortunate that we've kind of bypassed those lulls. And I felt like the Northwest game on our last regular season game, we didn't play with the emotion and fire that you need to play with. And then it kind of carried over into Tuesday's game against Emporia State. Finally, in the second half, we started picking up our defense, and that's what the catalyst that gets us going is our defense. When we're out playing good, solid defense, giving only 1 shot, we're a fun team to watch. And whenever we do those things, we create a lot of offense out of our game. And whenever we start doing that, then it picks up everything. So our defense is what kind of gets us going. And fortunately, there in the second half, we got down and we got some defensive stops. As a result, we got some offensive opportunities out of it.
You get balanced scoring again, as you have so many times this year, led by Carlos Escalera, 17 points, 16 from Osiris Ricardo in only 24 minutes of play. 12 points from Terry Shumpert, and then 10 from Blake Bard, who was 5 of 6 from the floor, 3 assists, 1 turnover. Blake is certainly becoming a crowd favorite and somebody who's definitely not shy to get the crowd into the game. He likes to get them pumped up a little bit. You guys shoot 56% from the floor for the game, hold them to 42%. You mentioned they were 10 of 22 from 3-point range. Conversely, you guys were 2 of 10, but that has never been a huge part of your game, so that's really nothing to worry about. And you out-rebound the Hornets 36-25. Your final was 77-60. Guy Santiago has 9 assists, and that breaks the career record
In only 2 seasons, it's certainly remarkable what he's doing, and he's going to eventually break the career mark for steals before all is said and done, isn't he?
Well, he's having an outstanding career for us. He certainly had a very, very good freshman season, and he's come right back and had an even better sophomore season. He's getting stronger. He's playing with a lot of confidence. He's the floor general for us out there, and he's the guy that makes us go.
It is the first conference tournament win since the 1992-93 season when these guys won the whole thing. The win over the Hornets put the Lions in the semifinals, as a matter of fact, and they would host Pitt State on Thursday, who put off the mild upset against Missouri Western in St. Joe on Tuesday night. Coming up, Border Battle 3 highlights. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm on TV, and we're talking about the game which got the Lions into tonight's MIAA championship game. That would be Thursday's semifinal contest with Pitt State. A physical ball game, and if you weren't familiar with the game of basketball or the game of wrestling, you might have mistaken the two a couple nights ago.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head whenever you said physical, because it was an extremely physical basketball game, and we knew that coming in. We knew Pittsburgh State would play extremely physical, and we had to counter that. And I think our guys did a pretty good job of that. The disappointing thing in Thursday night's game was the fact that we allowed them too many second opportunities on offensive rebounds. We didn't do a very good job of boarding. We also fouled them too much and sent them to the free throw line. And, you know, if you take away those two things, then, you know, some things might have been a little bit different. But we felt very fortunate to be up at 6 at halftime. We went on a little spurt there the last minute and a half. And then the second half is one of those things where we would kind of go on a little run. And as soon as we'd do that, Pitt State would come right back, which, you know, that's what teams are going to do. And Pittsburgh State's got a lot of pride. We knew they wouldn't quit. So they would go on a run. But, again, you know, every time we had to step up and make a big shot, we were able to do it.
Dan Stanley was really huge in the first half. 12 points, 9 rebounds, 6 on the offensive end. And he really helped them stay close. At one point, take a 3-point lead. Because Brandon Pate you thought he might have the worst shooting night of his career. He was 1 for 10 in the first half. Of course, he nullified that, but coming out strong in the second half. He is an outstanding player, but Dan really kept them in it in that first half, didn't he?
There's no doubt Dan played a very good basketball game, and I felt like one of the key things in the basketball game was the fact that he picked up his 4th foul, and they had to set him for a while, and then he came right back and played about a minute or so and then picked up his 5th foul. So he didn't get the minutes in the second half because of foul trouble, and again, that was the key because we didn't have an answer for him in the first half. We tried different guys on him, and he was able to go right around him and keep balls alive whenever he wasn't scoring himself. He was keeping balls alive for him on the offensive end. I was very concerned at halftime because we knew Brandon Pate was not going to go 1 for 10 again. And with us just being up by 6, with him going 1 for 10, there was some concern there on our part.
You guys are up 6 because Blake Bart hits a huge 3 towards the end of the first half, and of course, he kind of likes playing Pitt State, and I don't know why, but he obviously has some history with him. And then Brad Mann has a huge offensive rebound and putback, gets the old-fashioned 3-point play. You guys go in 40-34, come out in the second half, and you came out hitting some shots and doing some good things, didn't you?
Well, Carlos Newberry got us going in the second half. He hit a couple of threes, and as a result, we there for a period there, we cut down on their second opportunities. We were doing a better job on the defensive glass, and we were doing a better job defensively overall. And as a result, we were able to get some things. And when we can find Carlos spotted up in transition, that's where he's most effective. And we were able to find him a couple of times, and he was able to convert for us.
There were a total of 14 three-pointers in the game. Blake Bards was the only one in the first half. 13 in the second half. They were just flying everywhere. A lot of them were from Pate. Michael Jones hit a couple to kind of turn the lead to 10 at one point. But then Terry Shumpert hit one. Newberry hit a couple. Carlos Escalera hit a couple. They were just flying everywhere. And it seemed like getting back to the run aspect of things, when they would make a run, you would counter with a run, and the lead never got to below 5, I believe, in the second half. So you really stayed up, and the 3-ball was a big part of that.
Well, there's no doubt. I felt like every time they would make a run at us, we were able to counter with a 3, a big 3. Guai hit a big 3 that I think they'd cut to, after we led by 16, they cut to 8. It knocked it back up to 11. They cut it to 5 at one time, and Carlos Escalera hit a 3 to get it back up to 8. So it was very important for us to step up there and make some big shots in some crucial situations, and we were able to do that. And the good thing about it, Mike, was the fact that it was different people doing it. And that's the way it's been all year. We don't rely on one guy to do everything for us. We feel like we share the basketball around quite a bit, and we do a good job of finding the open man. And for the most part, those guys, once they're open, they've been able to convert.
Should mention Brandon Pate ended the night with 27 points. 22 came in the second half. Balanced scoring once again for the Lions, led by Terry Shumpert. He scored 27 of 15 shooting. Following him, Carlos Escalera scores 17, 15 from Osiris Ricardo, 12 points from Carlos Newberry, 10 again from Blake Bard for the second consecutive game. You guys shoot 53% from the floor for the game, hold them to 40 for the game. They do out-rebound you, but just better shooting counter that, I guess. 96 to 85 was your final. Some said afterwards the Lions' victory assured them of hosting next week's NCAA Regional. Maybe a little premature, of course. Nothing is for certain until the selection show, and that comes up tomorrow afternoon.
Well, that's right, Mike. We feel good about our chances of hosting the NCAA Regional, but the only way to, I think, to make sure and guarantee that is by winning tonight's game against Northwest. And if we're able to win tonight's game, I don't think there's any way they can keep us from hosting it. So you'd like to take it out of other people's hands and make sure that we are definitely going to be the person who hosts the region.
Well, don't go away. Up next, we'll provide a preview of tonight's affair with the Bearcats. We'll also open the Lusk and Lowry files. We're back in 2 minutes.
Well, there's no doubt, Mike. I think our guys are going to be ready to play. Northwest Missouri certainly is going to be ready to play because this would guarantee them an NCAA regional berth. And we're in the NCAA regional tournament, but we want to go in playing with momentum. We want to go in playing with confidence, and the only way you do that is by winning. Plus, you know, we'd love to have another conference championship, and we've talked to our guys, and we've kind of put it in little mountains, so to speak. And the first mountain was the regular season. We took 18 steps to get there. This mountain, you only have to take 3 steps, and we're on our 3rd step now, so it's something that our guys are looking forward to.
They are definitely a very hot basketball team, probably one of the hottest maybe in all of Division II basketball. They've won 7 in a row, and it's not just 7 has-been wins. They beat the Lions once by 20, and then they beat Washburn twice, including Thursday night in the semifinals. A very physical ball club, and pretty impressive that they go to Topeka and win, but they are streaky. Does it kind of remind you of what Truman did last year?
Well, there's no doubt they've gotten hot at the right time. And the difference between them and Truman, Northwest beat Missouri Western last year in the semifinals, so Truman got to go home for that championship game. The Northwest, what they're doing, kind of reminds me of our 93 club, where we had to go to Missouri Western in the semifinals, and then we had to turn right around and go to Washburn on the Saturday to play for the conference championship. So, you know, they're a very good basketball team. They're playing with a lot of confidence right now, and I agree with you. They're probably as hot as any team in the country right now. So we've got to make sure our defense is solid, and that's where it starts with us. And then we got to make sure we give them only 1 shot, and then they play very good defense, and we got to make sure we execute. We can't have a lot of turnovers, particularly out on the floor where they can convert them into offensive opportunities for themselves. So it's going to be a heck of a basketball game.
As you mentioned, it should be an outstanding conference tournament championship segue, something line assistant coaches Chris Lowry and Paul Lusk were used to being in back during their Division I playing days.
I feel very fortunate to have 2 very good assistant coaches. Chris Lowry and Paul Lusk have done a tremendous job for us. They knew each other coming in. They were both winners as players, and they certainly carried over that attitude as coaches.
As players, both helped Southern Illinois University to many accolades. Missouri Valley Conference championships, NCAA tournament berths. Both scored over the 1,000-point mark in college. Lusk, who began his career at Iowa, ranks 29th on the Salukis' all-time scoring list. Lowry ranks 18th, and even boasts this from the 1994 MVC tournament quarterfinals against SMS.
Lowry from 3. Off the back rim, no good. Lowry gets it back, puts it up again. Good! Good! It counts! It counts! It counts! Chris Chris Lowry did it.
They are now helping bring the accolades to the Lions program. Lowry in his third season, Lusk his first on the bench.
It's been a great experience for me because, like you said, to have the kind of turnaround we've had and to see Coach Corn be successful and Coach Lowry, it's really been a thrill for me to be here.
He has the same ideals and beliefs about the game of basketball that I do. And I know there's a passion for him as well as for me. So I think that was a big part of why this staff is so successful, because all three of us are able to relate to the kids how we want things done basketball-wise.
And as Southern enters the postseason, the mindset changes, which these two assistants are all too familiar with.
We don't want to be satisfied with conference champions or winning one game into the tournament. We want to try making a run at this thing.
And if they do, you can expect to see their wives, Erica and Melanie, cheering this team on. You can also expect to see Chris's daughter, Lexus, the newest addition to the cheerleading and dance squads.
Does she learn the dance steps from Erica, or is that from Dad?
Well, it's not from me, I'll admit to that. It's probably from Mom.
A fair trade-off, though. Mom teaches her to dance. Chris, Paul, and Coach Corn can take the Lions to the big dance.
And I guess she'll take that, them helping you to the big dance, won't you?
Well, there's no doubt they've been a great additions to our program, and both of them are outstanding young coaches, and both of them will make outstanding head coaches.
Up next, we'll have final thoughts on tonight's game against Northwest Missouri State, also our show-ending music video. We'll be right back. Southern gunning for its second MIAA postseason tournament trophy this evening. This man's 1992-93 team won it, as we've mentioned. Now, how nice is it to be in this position?
Well, we're pleased to be having an opportunity to play for it, because we said whenever the tournament started on Tuesday that somebody was going to get a trophy on Saturday, and we'd love to have that opportunity to play for it. So the young men have put themselves in position to do that. We're certainly playing for it, and I think our guys will be ready to play. And again, I think it's going to be just a heck of a basketball game.
If you talk to Coach Frazier, the Nets budgeted, I mean, you've already cut down one set. You could cut down another set tonight, and then maybe you host the regionals and win that puppy, then you're cutting them down next weekend. What's he have to say about all this?
Well, somebody's going to be cutting them down, so it might as well be us, you know. So that's a pleasant problem to have, and you know, it was exciting for our guys to have an opportunity to cut down the Nets after the regular season championship, and anytime you win a championship, it's always exciting to be able to cut the Nets down.
I know you're not one to look ahead to things, but just for the fact that it is so close and you guys will be in the region and most likely could host it, how important is that? For people that don't know, how important is it for you guys to host the regional next week?
Well, I think anytime you can play at home, you're at an advantage for a couple of reasons. Number one, your guys get to sleep in their own beds. They get to stay in that routine that they've been in all year long. And you hate for guys to get out of that routine. And if you're staying in a motel room, you're out of that routine. So I think it's important for the guys to be able to sleep in their own bed, to eat regular like they have been, and then to play in front of the home crowd. And our crowd's been tremendous. I think it's a big advantage.
Well, does that mean that you commute to and from Louisville then later on in the weeks to come?
You haven't heard they're moving the national tournament to Joplin?
We could take that. I'd actually like to travel and go somewhere, though, but hey, that's okay. Best of luck to you tonight. Folks, game time is 7 o'clock at the LAPAC. Come on out and hopefully witness a second cutting of the Nets. It's gearing up to be a very magical evening. For Robert Lewis, I'm Michael Andrew. We'll see you at the game. We leave you this afternoon with some music from the Olmsted Archives. It's what I listened to growing up while dreaming of one day being in a band, having long hair, bandanas around my head, and my torn jeans, all while driving an IROC Z28. Here's some Def Leppard, preceded by this guy being funny.
3, 2, would you like to do 3, 2, 1 today?
3, 2, 1, roll. There we go, guys. Our ball, first possession. Our ball. Get the basketball in. 4 game. Make hard cuts. Let's get something good out of it, okay? Here we go.
Oh, stony ground, such a lustful life. Circus comes to town. We are the hungry ones. Yeah, come on, yeah. Life in me. To that river, like a fire.
basketball, look to push, okay? Take advantage of any 3-on-2, 2-on-1 situation. Calf flash. Stay down your stand. Stay down your stand. Play good, hard defense. Let's go. Defense on 3. 1, 2, 3, defense.
Pretty good game.
Tell us about
it.
Too bad we
I
couldn't
will.
see it. All right.
Coming up in sports, the MIAA postseason tournament concluded tonight at the Leggett and Platt Athletic Center. We have highlights and some words from Missouri Southern Northwest Missouri Championship Showdown. So guess what? Grab some milk and cookies because sports is up in 2 minutes.
Go.
Hi there and welcome back. It was a week ago today that Northwest Missouri thumped Missouri Southern by 20 in Maryville. Now tonight was the third meeting between the two squads, and an automatic berth to the regional tournament was up for grabs. The Lions are trying for the sweep of the MIAA championships this season. With 40 minutes standing in their way of the postseason title, the Lions were clicking early with Eden Santiago finds Carlos Escalera. The layup made the score 3-2 Northwest. More Santiago and Escalera. This layup gave Southern the lead at 6-3. But Northwest will claw back. Joe Price missed the left-handed runner, but Chris Borchers grabs the board, and the stick back cut the lead at 2. More Santiago, but this time he finds the big O. Osiris Ricardo for 2, 13-9 Lions. More Ricardo, the pass from Carlos Newberry.
Electrified fans and teammates with his passing, also his quickness. For the second straight season, the young man out of Puerto Rico was tops in the league in both assists and steals with 7 dimes and 3 picks per outing. He also was numero uno in the MIAA, an assist-to-turnover ratio at 2.91. Now, a couple of recipients of his hard work also earned all-conference honors. Senior center Osiris Ricardo was named to the league's second team. The 6'10 man-child is averaging 14 points per contest and has eclipsed the 27-point mark 4 times this season. His 61% field goal shooting was third in the MIAA, also 8th in the nation. Big O is also pulling down 7 boards per contest. Joining him on the second team and earning Freshman of the Year honors is Mr. Photogenic, Carlos Escalera. His play has been flat-out spectacular at times over the past few months, leading the Lions in scoring at nearly 17 points per game. 3 times he netted at least 27, with his career high of 29 coming against Pittsburgh State back in January. He's also offered fans plenty of posterized moments this season. Joining Ricardo and Escalera on the second team is perhaps the league's best one-on-one player in Brandon Pate out of the Gorilla basketball system. Western's Reggie Alexander and SBU's Dusty Dinkins round out the second team. Individual awards, we mentioned Geist as the MVP and Escalera the Freshman of the Year. For the first time in his 11 years at Southern, Robert Korn was named the league's Coach of the Year. And it really was expected. After all, he helped guide the Lions to as many wins as games played all of last season. The team's 27 victories also matched the single-season record set back during the 1977-78 campaign, a team on which he played. And even with the program's 10th 20-win season, Korn's third in 11 years, he remains very, very humble.
Well, Chris Paul and I feel very fortunate that we were chosen Coach of the Year, and that's the approach that we take about it. But, you know, we're also smart enough to realize why we got Coach of the Year, and that's because our team won the conference championship. And the reason we won the conference championship is because we got good players. So to me, it's kind of like the regular season MIAA championship and the postseason tournament championship. It's a team award, and that's the way we approach it.
Coach is a humble person. I don't know how much Chris and I have to do with it, but he likes to spread the credit around, so he's not afraid to share the wealth. But we're just there to put in any advice that we can, and but ultimately he makes the decisions, and he's the one that should get the credit. So we're very happy for him.
He is by far, I think, the biggest class act in the conference. You'll never hear anybody in the conference say anything bad about them. Even in the thin years when things weren't going so well, people could never say anything bad about them. Teams just weren't very good. But now, I think it just shows what type of character, what type of person it is, that he would say things about me and Coach Luss when, you know, when the award is for himself.
Well, I think Coach Core deserves that because he's been working hard and it's time to be paid off for the hard work he's been done for this team and this basketball program.
I mean, like attitude and stuff. It's hard. I mean, he been working with me. He been teaching me a lot of stuff that I didn't know before. So I think he's pretty nice. I'm glad for him too.
He helped us a lot. Not only him, but Coach Lowry and Coach Luss. So it's big for him, and I think he needed it because he worked so hard for it. So I think it's a good accomplishment for him.
It's a good accomplishment.
Deserving gentleman.
Of course, they would like to add a national title to the NCAA South Central Regional Tournament game between Washburn and Missouri Southern. The two teams split the regular season series, winning at each other's home court. Rubber match tonight, and it had quite a bit more importance. We show you Guaya Santiago because he would score the game's first 2 points. Tough little pull-up, made it 2-0 Missouri Southern. Conference MVP Iwan Ogis getting free down low, made the score 4-2 Washburn at the time. He scored 14 tonight. Newberry Carlos would belt in a three, made the score 5-4 Southern. 8-6 they led when Escalera busted free for 3. 10 in the first half. He finished with 15 tonight. Osiris Ricardo then got in on the fun, banking for 2. That tied the game at 19 apiece. 22-19 when Brad Mann came off the bench, scored 3 of his 9 points. Escalera would find Big O for 2 of his 21. Also had 9 rebounds, 24-22 Southern. Ogis would find Eric Carter for 3. They led by 1. Still led by 1. Newberry would miss, but Big O was there for the putback. 30-29 Southern. They led 43-32 at halftime. Second half, freshman Ryan Murphy going nuts. Scored 20 on the night. Finished the game with 16. For Southern, we're answering. They're up 67-64 late in the game. The lob to Osiris, fading back behind the backboard. They're up 69-64. But back came Washburn, tied it at 69. We have about 4 seconds left. Guaya Santiago, and it's because they're using different balls for the tournament. I'm going to go ahead and say that right now. But Carlos Newberry came in the overtime session, nailed a huge 3 to make it a 5-point line lead. They hit their freebies, and here's your final, 79-73 Missouri Southern. They will face Midwestern State tomorrow here at the LAPAC at 7:30. We'll go over that game in just a bit. First, let's bring in the conference's Coach of the Year, Robert Korn, and
Son of Illinois, Coach Lonkruger drops that one. 60, it's a 1-point game, then tied 69. Guaya Santiago with a chance to win it. No, we're gonna go overtime. Carlos Newberry hits a couple free throws to give the Lions a 2-point lead, and then they go inside to O. A big, big hoop for the Lions. Then, moments later, Lions protecting a 2-point lead. Carlos Newberry, he opened our highlights with a tray. He's going to end them with a tray. That gives Southern a 5-point lead, and they don't look back. The Lions escape a hard-fought 79-73 overtime win over Washburn. That's the 3rd time they've played them this year. They win 2 of the 3, but this one by far the most dramatic. Now, Bruce Vonderhaar is still on site at the L&P Athletics Center, and we're going to continue our coverage out there right now. Bruce, where are you, Bruce? Have we got you, Bruce?
Here I am. I'm somewhere. Thanks a lot, Eric. Out here at the Leggett and Platt Athletic Center. What a thrilling overtime win for the Lions. They were led by Osiris Ricardo with 21 points. Carlos Escalera had 15 for the Lions. Another hero from Missouri Southern was Brad Mann, 9 points, 3 rebounds for you, some big three-pointers. Very emotional game to go into overtime against a great Washburn team and get the win. A big effort from you guys tonight.
Absolutely. Carlos Newberry stepped up at the time that he needed at Guaya Santiago. It was a team effort tonight, and that's one thing that makes this team what it is that everybody contributes. So tonight we came out, we played like we needed to play, and we got the job done. We have another tough contest ahead of us tomorrow, so we got to come out and do the things we need to do.
That tough contest is against Midwestern State, who won at the buzzer tonight as well. They were down to the wire too. I'm sure both teams are tired, but that's really not going to play a factor tomorrow with a trip to Louisville on the line.
There's going to be a lot of energy. It's going to be a lot of excitement. There's going to be a huge crowd here, so we got to come out. We got to be ready to play, and and just hope things go our way. So, you know, if we continue to play the way we have all season long, I don't think there's any limit to what we can do.
One more question, Brad. The last home game of the year comes tomorrow night. The crowd tonight was outstanding. How big will it be to have a packed house here tomorrow?
It'll be huge. I mean, the crowd really gets us into the game. Hopefully we get the crowd into the game. So they help us out at crucial moments in the game. So you know, tomorrow night it's going to be a big thing to have them in it. So they keep us in it, we keep them in it. Yeah, it's a two-way deal.
Brad, thanks. Good luck tomorrow and great game tonight.
Thank you.
The Lions will play Midwestern State tomorrow night. They are out of Texas. Game time is set for 7:30. Single game tickets still available to go on sale tomorrow at 10 o'clock right here at Missouri Southern. Great game, great atmosphere for basketball tonight, Eric.
All right, thanks a lot, Bruiser. We'll be back there again tomorrow night. Meanwhile, big question would be, who are they going to play? Midwestern State taking on Northeastern State, and Midwestern gets a big bucket there by Doug Beatty. 78-76, they have, or excuse me, 88-86, they have the lead. Then Gil Benson hits a shot here, and then Terrence Thomas hits this one to win it. Midwestern State wins 91-88, so that's who Southern will play tomorrow night. Let's go straight to our NASCAR R&S Automotive Pole Sitter update and let you know. Let's see it, guys. Let's see the update.
Southern State basketball with Mike Olmstead and head coach Robert Korn.
Hi there, welcome to this week's show. Lions began NCAA Division II tournament action last night at home against Washburn. Coming up, Coach Korn and I will recap that W. We'll also preview tonight's South Central Regional Championship contest against Midwestern State. We'll also relive the Lions MIAA tournament victory from last Saturday against Northwest Missouri State. Plus, we'll run down the league's postseason accolades. First, let's bring in Coach Korn, the man who incidentally this week was named the MIAA's Coach of the Year. Have to admit that we taped the show after last night's game, about 45 minutes afterwards. Thus, these are the same clothes we were in at game time last night, but that's okay. Congrats on a great victory last night.
Well, thanks, Mike. It was a very hard-fought basketball game, which we knew it would be. Washburn came in and played extremely physical, and we knew it would be a physical basketball game. Murphy played an outstanding game for a freshman. I guess at this stage of the season, you're no longer a freshman, and he certainly looked like an upperclassman last night. And then Auguste has certainly proved that he's the most valuable player in our league. He's really a force to reckon with on the inside, and even whenever he doesn't get the basketball, he draws such an attention thing that he makes your defense make adjustments. So it was a very good win for our young men. I felt like we played the toughness that was necessary to win the game.
The Lions' first ever NCAA postseason victory. Congrats on that one as well. Let's rewind things to the beginning of the game. Like you mentioned, you knew it was going to be a physical contest, and having played the Ichabods at their place, rebounding was key. Auguste was huge in that game. Came back last month and had him at the LAPAC. He got into some foul trouble, so that was going to be a key, hopefully getting him into some foul trouble in that first half.
Well, we tried to get Osiris involved early because we wanted to go right at Auguste and hopefully try to get some fouls on him. It really didn't work out that way. We got a couple of fouls on him, and then he was able to pretty well play the rest of the way. But rebounding, again, was a big concern going into the basketball game, and again, Washburn kicked us on the board. So that is a disappointment, and that certainly is a cause for to make sure that we do things a lot better for tonight's basketball game in that area. But, you know, it was a tough basketball game. Again, I felt like there were some shots that was made during the course of the game that were huge shots on both teams. When we had a 4-point lead with about 2 minutes to go, we went to a 1-3-1 zone and tried to make them run some clock, which we did. I felt like we had them on the back heels, and then Kruger hits a 3 from deep, and then certainly Newberry's 3 in the overtime was huge for us as well.
We'll get to that in just a bit. You guys build the lead up to 10 in the first half. That's thanks to an intentional foul. Carlos hits a couple of free throws. Then Bob Chipman gets a technical foul called on him. So you build the lead up, and this was like with a buck and change left in that first half. So you had to feel comfortable about that point in the game, didn't you?
I felt good going into the halftime with an 11-point lead. The thing that we were able to do, we were able to get the free throw line, which certainly helped us a lot in the first half. And again, you know, the rebounding was a concern, and you know, it didn't get any better second half, really, to be honest with you. But I felt like we did some solid things. On the offensive end, I felt like defensively we were pretty sound. And then during the second half, we just really became stagnant offensively. And to be honest with you, Mike, we missed some shots that we normally would hit. And I don't know whether we played a little tight during that stretch or whether just one of those periods of time where the ball just didn't fall for us. So we missed some shots and allowed them to get back into it.
And Ryan Murphy really was the catalyst for that. Had 4 points at halftime, came up with 16 in the second half. And this is a guy that has played well. In fact, if it weren't for Carlos Escalera, he probably is your conference's freshman of the year. A solid ball player, isn't he? And he doesn't really look the part.
Well, he's a really solid player, as you mentioned. He does a lot of things. He can score outside, he can score inside, and I agree with your statement. If Carlos Escalera is not a freshman this year, he's probably the freshman of the year in the league.
And he single-handedly brought it back, made it a very close ball game. At one point, you guys go up 69-64 on an off-balance shot by Big O, falling, fading away behind the backboard, nothing but net. Felt pretty confident at that point, didn't you?
Well, we felt like we had things going for us, and we could get some stops, you know. We felt like we could carry that thing on out, you know. And, you know, it just didn't happen at the right time. You know, the stops, we were really struggling to get any type of defensive stops on, and whenever we did get a stop, they were able to get the offensive rebound.
Here's a look at the final graphics. It was Carlos Newberry huge in that overtime session with a huge three-pointer to give them a 5-point lead. They hang on to win it 79-73. Osiris Ricardo scored 21 points, had 9 rebounds, 9 of 12 from the floor. In the other semifinal contest, it was Midwestern State on a last-second shot. You'll see some of that here in a little bit on the show by Terrence Thomas, I believe, hit a shot with 1.8 seconds left, and what was a great contest against Northeastern State's Redmond. 91-88 was your final, and that sets up tonight's championship contest against the Indians. We will preview that puppy when the 2 best-dressed men in the station right now come back. Wind things to last Saturday, where the Lions took on Northwest Missouri State in the championship game of the MIAA postseason tournament. And this was another case. This was a third time you had met the Bearcats, and first in a matter of days, and at that point they had beaten you up at their place by 20 points. Had payback in mind, plus you had some tournament hardware on mind coming into that game, didn't you?
Well, there was a lot to play for. Northwest came in playing extremely well, probably as well as anybody in the conference during the tournament, evident by the fact they went to Washburn and beat Washburn on Thursday night before our Saturday night game. So we knew it was going to be a tough challenge, and it had only been a week since they'd pounded us pretty good up there. So our guys got a lot of pride, and they didn't want somebody coming into our house and able to do that. Plus, you know, the fact there was another championship on the line was a little more incentive for our guys, and we came out and we played pretty good basketball. We built, again, a nice lead at halftime. We were up 13, I believe. They cut it to 5 in the second half. That was close they got. Our biggest lead was a 19. So it was one of those games where I never felt that we were going to lose the basketball game, but yet I never felt comfortable that the game was over until it was 0-0-0 on the clock.
Had balanced scoring in that first half of play, and also shot the ball pretty well as well. Going down the stretch in that game, it just seemed the closer you got, was it kind of hard to believe that we're going to be the postseason champs in this league?
Well, this season's been kind of a dream season the whole time, and you know, winning a regular season conference championship is extremely difficult because you have 18 challenges. To win a postseason conference championship, it's a little easier. It's never easy, but it's a little easier because you can get hot one week and win the darn thing. And we feel very fortunate that we were able to sustain the long term by winning the regular season conference championship, but yet we were able to gain the momentum for that 1 week and play solid basketball for the whole week as well.
When you look back, what's the most important? The most important, the regular season title?
Well, I think if you're going into postseason play, the only way you're going to get the automatic is to win the conference championship. Certainly, winning the regular season, as I mentioned, shows that you've done it for a long period of time. But the most important thing is to go into the NCAA tournament playing with confidence, playing with some momentum. And the only way you're going to do that is if you win your conference postseason tournament, which we were able to do.
You're second in 11 years, first since the 1992-93 season when you did it, and you had to do it on the road. You got to do it at home. We've said so much about the Leggett and Platt Athletic Center, a grand facility, and the first year that it's open, you're having a season like this, and it was very nice for you, I know, and for the community who have adopted this team to be a part of something like that, wasn't it?
Well, that's been key to our success. It's been great to watch the college and the community gather around a common bond, and that's this basketball team. And the community have been super. Certainly, I think we're taking a lot of pride in the Leggett and Platt Athletic Center. It's a facility that we're extremely proud of, and our guys are looking forward every time to practice, go up there and play in. So it's something that we're really proud of what's happening, and I think the community people really appreciate what's going on. And winning's not just the reason that, you know, if you come and watch a game and you win, they'll continue to come and watch. But you mentioned that the community has adopted this team, and that's a word that I like to use as well, because they feel like it's part of theirs, because they realize that the reason this team is winning is because of the unselfish attitude, the solid work ethic, and the character that they show on the floor.
Once again, you guys invade the athletic budget by cutting down more nets in the LAPAC, but it was a nice time, again, knowing that you guys had wrapped up the postseason tournament. What's better in your mind? Was it better cutting down the nets the week before, or does it really have, you know, no favoritism?
Cutting down nets never gets old. I think every time you do it, it's a little bit more special, because you never know when's the next time that you're going to have an opportunity to do it. So I think each time you have an opportunity, you got to take advantage of the moment.
Certainly was a phone moment. Up next, we're going to give this guy a break. We'll bring in a special guest from the Missouri Southern Sports Network. You've heard his voice many times. Maybe you've seen his mug on a live shot or two during our KSN Sportscast. His name is Kevin Grime. We'll talk about the MIAA postseason award. We have a special guest for you. It is Kevin Grime from the Missouri Southern Sports Network, a guy who, along with myself and Bruce Vonderhaar, who works at another TV station in town and does some part-time radio work with you, were so geeked about last night's game, along with about 3,400 other people. It was a great contest, wasn't it?
What was so weird about it is when we were talking is just the sense of finality that it comes along with an elimination ball game like this. I mean, you know, just to think that all the hard work that you've put in and go 27-2, it could be over right then and there. Everybody's got these designs to go to Louisville, but it may be over right then and there. If you don't come with your A game that night against a team like Washburn, you're going to go home and like Coach Korn likes to say, wash the uniforms for the final time of the season.
Definitely don't want that to happen. Your impressions towards the end of the game when they were making the comeback and the time kept winding down, did you think, I mean, it almost reminded you of the Rolla game.
Oh, yeah.
Where you just felt like something magical was going to happen.
Yeah, and Guay's shot should have gone in. We were watching it back in the back before we came on here, and I don't know how it didn't go in, but I thought going into the overtime, all the momentum in the world was on Washburn's side, because, I mean, Southern had a chance to win that game. They don't win it in almost heartbreaking fashion, you know, right. And so I thought Washburn had all the momentum going into the overtime. Coach Korn, like he said, when you're at home, you don't want to go to overtime, because that team feels like they're going to steal one from you when they get into that overtime period. And that just shows this team just keeps finding new ways to win basketball games. This is the first overtime game they've played all year, and they really responded.
Well, earlier in the week, the MIAA announced its all-conference selections. Guaya Santiago made the first team after leading the league in steals and assists for the second straight year. Osiris Ricardo and Carlos Escalera were named to the all-MIAA second team. Escalera was also named the conference's Freshman of the Year, while Robert Lewis Korn earned his first ever Coach of the Year accolade, something we talked to the lead man about on Tuesday.
Well, Chris Paul and I feel very fortunate that we were chosen Coach of the Year, and that's the approach that we take about it. But, you know, we're also smart enough to realize why we got Coach of the Year, and that's because our team won the conference championship. And the reason we won the conference championship is because we got good players. So to me, it's kind of like the regular season MIAA championship and the postseason tournament championship. It's a team award, and that's the way we approach it.
Coach is a humble person. I don't know how much Chris and I have to do with it, but he likes to spread the credit around, so he's not afraid to share the wealth. But we're just there to put in any advice that we can, and but ultimately he makes the decisions, and he's the one that should get the credit. So we're very happy for him.
He is by far, I think, the biggest class act in the conference. You'll never hear anybody in the conference say anything bad about him. Even in the thin years when things weren't going so well, people could never say anything bad about him. Teams just weren't very good. But now, I think it just shows what type of character and what type of person it is that he would say things about me and Coach Luss when, you know, when the award is for himself.
Well, I think Coach Korn deserves that because he's been working hard, and it's time to be paid off for the hard work he's been done for this team and this basketball program.
Like attitude and stuff. It's hard. I mean, he been working with me. He been teaching me a lot of stuff that I didn't know before. So I think it's pretty nice. I'm glad for him too.
He helped us a lot. Not only him, but Coach Larry and Coach Luck. So it's big for him, and I think he needed it because he worked so hard for it. So I think it's a good accomplishment for him.
It is a great accomplishment for him and for the program. Says a whole lot that you know, they have 3 guys on the best 10 players in the conference.
And nobody on the all-region team, which
Right.
is it's unbelievable to think that a team can be #1 in the region all season long, yet we don't qualify anybody for the first or second team in the region. But the honors, as far as the conference go, they are well-deserved and well-earned.
Yeah, they are. Your thoughts on tonight's game against Midwestern State?
They looked awfully athletic. I mean, they get up and down the floor. I was surprised, actually, the Northeastern rather was able to stay with them because they don't like playing a game in the 80s and 90s. And it got up there, and Northeastern State did a great job staying with them. It just seems like Midwestern's got so many different guys that can score that it's tough to know who you've got to zero in on in a game. Like, they're a lot like Washburn, just in the sense that they've got numerous weapons.
And should be a good one.
I think it's an outstanding ball game, Mike. You're exactly right.
Hey, coming up, more on tonight's game that will hopefully result in a W and get all of us to Louisville in a week and a half. We'll be right back. Back to the Lions then, folks. We're about to wrap this show up. It's been a long night and a long day. And you guys, what do you practice on today? I mean, I know that a lot of people are sore, guys are tired, but what do you work on?
Well, Chris and Paul spliced some tape from some earlier games. Midwestern State played Missouri Western and Northwest Missouri out of our league in the first part of December. So we've got some tapes on them that we spliced. So we will show the guys the spliced tape, and then we'll go up on the floor, and Chris and Paul scouted the game last night, so we'll walk through stuff that we anticipate that they'll try to do. So we'll try to prepare our guys best we can.
What were your thoughts on the guys last night, on the Indians last night?
Well, I think they're very good. I thought they were very athletic. They're very deep. I think they got some guys who can shoot the 3, and they certainly have some very good athletes on the inside. So it's definitely going to be a challenge for our defense. They're averaging in the high 80s. Last night's game with Northeastern, I think, probably got a little bit higher than what Larry Gibson would have liked. And it's going to be a challenge for our defense. If they scored 90 points against our defense, it's going to be tough. So hopefully our defense will be able to keep them in the 70s or so, where we got an opportunity to try to win the game.
A great challenge for the Lions, I think, and also I know it's probably been embedded, if not embedded in their minds, it already is, that they do not want somebody else cutting down the nets in their house.
Well, that's a pride thing. Nobody wants to have someone come in their house and cut down the nets in front of them, in front of their fans and stuff. So, you know, there's certainly some pride on the line here, and you know, I think our guys will play extremely hard. I think last night's game took a lot out of them, but Midwestern had a tough game also, so it's equal from that standpoint. And we just got to come out and play with a lot of energy and play with a lot of emotion. And I think if we do that, there's no doubt we're going to play hard. And then we just have to make sure that we execute and do things right. And if we do, we're going to give ourselves a chance to win.
You're so close to Louisville, which is what everybody's been talking about, right around the road trips to Missouri Western and Central Missouri State. Do you allow yourself to even think about that?
Our approach is just like it's been since November 23rd. We're going to play that one game at a time. And right now, our thoughts and focus is strictly on Midwestern State. And we got to take care of that challenge before we can even think of what's down the road for us. So it's very important that our guys approach it that way, because at this stage, everybody's good. If they weren't good, they wouldn't be in the tournament. So we can't allow for us to go in and play a subpar basketball game. We got to play a top-notch basketball game. The only way you're going to do that is be prepared.
You are ranked 7th in the nation and officially are one of the best 24 teams in the country going into tonight's game. That's going to do it for this week's show. Folks, tip-off is at 7:30 tonight at the LAPAC. Last night was a sellout. I know a lot of tickets went on sale last night. I believe the ticket office is open sometime this afternoon, early evening. Get out there and battle through the Jeff Wellborn blizzard of the year 2000 and watch this line team hopefully win the NCAA South Central Regional. As we leave you this afternoon, appropriate music to enhance exciting and very well shot highlights. For Robert Lewis, I'm Michael Andrew. We'll see you tonight at the game.
Santiago penetrates into the lane. He goes off for Newberry. There's a tough 3 at the top of the key, and it is good. Newberry with a huge 3-point jump. Baby, baby, it looks like it's going to happen. Baby, baby, it looks like it's going to happen. Baby, come inside, let me teach you how to jive.
care about wins. If we win, we are. It don't matter for 1, for 20. I just want to win. The big tournament, we want to win too. We're going to be a national championship, baby. National championship.
Papa's in the icebox looking for a can of man. Papa's in the icebox looking for a can of man. Mama's in the backyard learning how to jive and wail. Oh, you gotta jump jiving, then you well, 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 you gotta jump jiving, then you will away.
Any loose balls, we gotta chase down. We gotta chase the loose balls down there. We gotta go to the boards. We gotta get up and challenge shine. Don't wait till they catch the ball to play defense. Play defense while the ball's on the other side.
A woman is a woman and a man ain't nothing but a man. Woman is a woman and a man ain't nothing but a man. One good thing about him, he knows how to jive and well. Jack and Jill went up the hill to get a pan. Jack and Jill went up the hill to get a pan. Jill stayed up, she wants to learn how to jive and well. Oh, you gotta jump jiving, then you well, 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 you gotta jump jiving, then you well away.
Bling, bling, baby.
Highlight video. First, we offer you the top dog, head coach Robert Korn, and the dream season continues, doesn't it?
Well, there's no doubt, Mike. It has been a dream season and one that you don't want to wake up from the dream yet because there's still some things we want to accomplish. We've talked all year long about having mountains to climb, and we were able to climb the first one. It took 18 steps to get there, and that's the regular season conference championship. The next one was the postseason conference tournament, and that was 3 steps. We were able to take that. The next one was the regional. It took 2 steps to get that. Now we're on the final mountain to climb, and that's a 3-step mountain, and we realized to get to that second and third step, we have to take care of business on the first step.
3 wins away from a national title. Does it seem almost unbelievable that you're this close?
Oh, there's no doubt. You know, it's as you mentioned, it's been a dream season, and it's one that you know, you visualize whenever you're thinking about things a lot of times, but in reality, it's so difficult to achieve that, and there's so few people that have the opportunity to achieve it. You know, it's just a situation that you know, we're very fortunate and we're very proud of the fact that we are still playing, but we realize that we have a lot of work to do, and we got to make sure that we take care of business.
Let's get right to it. Go back to last Saturday's South Central Regional Championship game. Both you and Midwestern State coming off Friday night down to the wire semifinal outings. Both were very physical games. Now, you would think fatigue might have played a part at the start of the game on Saturday, but it was really a fast-paced game against the Indians.
Well, I felt like we in particular played really rushed early. If you'll recall, we had a lot of turnovers early in the basketball game, and they weren't even close turnovers. We were throwing the ball 2 or 3 feet over people's heads. And we're fortunate there wasn't a lot of windows in there, or we'd have broken a lot of windows the way we were playing early. But then I felt like once we gathered our composure, once we started playing at our pace, I felt like some really positive things happened for us. The one thing I could not fault for the 40 minutes was how hard we played the basketball game, because I felt like our guys really got after it. I felt like our players left a lot of skin on the floor up there, because we had guys getting on the floor after loose balls. We had guys stepping in, taking the charges, things that you have to do in a championship caliber basketball game. And Midwestern State was an excellent basketball team, and in order to beat them, we had to play awfully well.
They were a very physical ball club, but you think talent-wise, person to person, they might have been maybe the most talented team you played all year?
Well, I think so. From if you look at the 5 stars and then you look at the 2 or 3 players they brought off the bench, There's very few teams that we've played against this year that had the people coming off the bench like Midwestern State did. And, you know, we just had to make sure that we did a good job of playing good, solid defense and then limited to one shot. I felt like that was going to be a big key in the basketball game. Fortunately, we were able to rebound pretty good. And as a result, I felt like offensively we just did enough positive things to make sure that we got a lead and then we were able to keep the lead. Speaking of their bench, I was really proud of our bench as well, which we've said time and time again this year that our bench has been a big factor. But Osiris got in foul trouble. Adam Babcock came in and did a tremendous job. I felt like Brad Mann came in and played solid. I felt like Leo Gomez really played good basketball. I thought David Ragland gave us some good minutes. Blake Bard was very limited in the whole weekend, Friday and Saturday's game both, with a badly sprained ankle. And it's just a tribute and tells you the type of character that young man has even to be playing, because most guys would even tried to have played. But, you know, he was out there giving it everything he had. So I felt like our bench was a big factor in the game as well.
All 10 players played in that first half. 9 of them scored. That gives you an indication of how they contributed. A pretty key run towards the end of the first half was when Carlos Newberry got a little bit hot and hit a couple threes for you. Pretty big.
There's no doubt Carlos has done that time and time again all year long. He continues to step up and make big shots for us in a time when we really need that little push. And he's kind of our emotional spark plug. Whenever he hits a couple, you know, everybody kind of feels it. And Carlos plays a lot of emotion on the floor, and that's what you want. You want guys to play with emotion. So he kind of gives us a spark there. As a result, it gets the crowd into it. And I felt like our crowd was tremendous in the game Saturday night. I thought if you look at the crowd as the sixth player was definitely a factor in the basketball game.
Definitely, especially when you consider the fact that about 30 minutes before the game, it was almost to capacity. It was that packed. They were that excited about it. You come out in the second half, and like so many games this season, you've said it, and I kind of got that feeling in the second half of this game, that you were in control of the game. You knew they were going to make a run. You just kind of had to weather that storm into.
Well, that's right. Midwestern State, they hadn't won 27 basketball games without being a good team. So we knew they wouldn't quit, number one. And we knew they had the firepower to come back and make a run at it. And we just had to make sure that we had enough firepower to weather the storm and make sure that the storm didn't really become a hurricane or a tornado or anything like that. So and unfortunately, we were able to do that again. You know, it takes guys who are willing to step up and make big plays in crucial situations, and we had that. Every time they would come back and get within a margin where, you know, it was a couple of possessions away, then we would step up and do some positive things. And that's been the case all year. We've had to weather storms, and this team does a very good job of weathering the storms and then building on it once we get things rolling.
Well, here's what the final numbers look like on KSN Graphics, 92-83. Escalera led the way with 27 points, but it was the overall game of Santiago, Guaya that is, that makes you say, wow. Kid also broke the school's career record for steals. He now has 166. Mario Phillips had 162 from 1995 to 1999. Santiago's performance combined with his semifinal numbers earned him a spot on the all-tournament team as the MVP, in fact. Los also given all regional tournament honors. Kind of a shock that Big O was left off this list. 33 points in 2 games is pretty impressive. Nevertheless, great recognition, and you got to cut down the nets again. It's a nice feeling.
Well, Mike, there's no doubt. We talked about last week's show about a pride factor, and you didn't want somebody to come in your own house and cut down your nets in front of not only your team but your fans. And we were able to do that again, and it's something that doesn't get old hat. I guarantee you that, because we mentioned in last week's show that, you know, every time you're able to cut down nets, it's always special, because you don't know when the next time will be that you have that opportunity. So you got to take advantage of the moment. And, you know, to see a guy like Carlos Newberry, who has been through the bad times during his 4-year, he's had some good moments as well. But to see him to have the type of year that he's having right now is just so enjoyable to watch. And then Osiris Ricardo coming back from the knee surgery, and to have him have that opportunity, and Brad Mann coming in for the 1 year and be able to have a great senior year. I think it's always special for your senior players to have those type of years and have those type of opportunities to cut down nets. Certainly you're proud for your younger players too. but the younger players have other opportunities. But the thing that we've told our younger players is, hey, you know, you've got other opportunities, but you may not have another opportunity like this one. You got to take advantage of the situation whenever it comes. And so those guys do have opportunities, yes, but they may not have anything special like we have right now.
It's a very special season. It's time for us to take our first break, folks. When we come back, we'll talk about the next step, and that's facing top-ranked Florida Southern on Wednesday. We'll be right back. Hey there, thanks for keeping us tuned in. Coach, you've talked all year about taking each game and looking at it as it is the next game. Next game just so happens to be against the top-ranked team in all of Division II hoops. That's the Florida Southern Moccasins on Wednesday. Talk about this team, what you've seen on tape.
Well, they're a very good basketball team, evident of the fact they've won 31 basketball games. They've only lost once. Florida Tech beat them on the road midway through their conference season. They're a very similar team to us in a lot of regards, Mike, in the fact they play a lot of people. They'll play 10, 11 individuals. They really don't have the superstar, even though Carey made first-team All-Region for them. He's their 6'9", 235-pound center. But he only averages about 13, 14 points a basketball game, but they have like 8 or 9 guys averaging from 5 to 13, 14. So, again, they're a very balanced basketball team. They're very defensive-oriented. They were among the tops in defense. They only allow about 60 points a game. Their opponents shoot about 37% for the game. They out-rebound their opponents by 10 a game. So their strengths are kind of the catalyst that's made us a good basketball team this year as well. The difference is ours is mostly in the half-court defense, whereas they like to get out in full-court pressure, man-to-man in theirs, and they'll try to do some trapping stuff. So it's going to be very important that we take care of the basketball, number one, and it's going to be a challenge for our defense. We got to get back in transition, and we can't let them out-rebound us by 10.
Well, you've heard what the coach thinks. Now it's time to hear from his players.
Well, we don't know a whole lot about Florida Southern. We do know that they're 32-1, and the only loss that they had was came off of a 6-point loss to I don't know who it was, but they're a very talented team, and you know, they're in the national tournament. So you know, we just got to go out and do the things that we've been doing all season long, and just take care of the challenge that's coming up.
I expect to cut Next down next week. That's my goal, and I'm sure it's everybody else's goal. So we can to bring it home is number one.
We know that they are the #1 ranked in the nation right now, but that doesn't matter. We're just gonna go in there and play hard and do the best we can do, and we're gonna win. That's it. That's what is on our mind now.
I don't think about the national champion, the national game. That's what I think about. I believe this team, and I believe we can do it. And we practice hard like every day, like the beginning of the season. We can bring that tournament here. We can bring that ring here.
I think it's important for people to keep in mind that this team is not just happy to be going to Louisville. They're going in 29-2, want to come home 32-2 with a national championship. Up next, we'll show you how the Lions spent their spring break week aside from practices. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Lions Den. It's Coach's son's Rob, who is the best water boy in the conference, I understand, and then Scott Michael, who is the best ball boy.
That's right.
I get you. They came in to make a special appearance today. It is spring break on campus, Coach. You guys aren't used to basketball practice this time of year, but it is certainly something that you like this time of year.
There's no doubt. We were able to give the guys 3 days off. And I think they enjoyed the 3 days off, but they were anxious to get back. And that's what you tried to look for Wednesday when we brought the team back from the 3 days off. Were they excited about being there? And our guys were very excited about continue playing, and they're taking a lot of pride in this thing. And it's a situation where if you felt like they were just going to be content on just getting there, then they might go through the motions, but that hasn't been the case at all. These guys, their focus is back. They're getting the edge back that we've had all season long. So I think we'll go to Louisville and play hard, and I think we'll play well.
The team also involved in some public appearances this past week. Joplin Rotary Club at Twin Hills on Thursday. And last night you guys were in the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Joplin. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's been an exciting time. And as I've mentioned and some other things, that it's really been neat to watch the community and the college combine on a common effort, and that's his basketball team. And the community has really gotten behind us, and certainly we're very honored to be recognized at the Rotary Club at Twin Hills on Thursday, and then to be a part of the St. Pat's Parade on Friday, again, was a great honor for the players. And it was just a nice send-off for us departing tomorrow, or for Monday, for the tournament, you know. So it gave the community an opportunity to see us and kind of send us off, and the guys were really excited about doing those things.
And, you know, we talked maybe a week ago when the possibility of you guys going to the Elite Eight came into play, that it was kind of weird that there was an off week in between the regional championship and then the start of the Elite Eight on like 2 Wednesdays later. It's turning out to be a blessing because you really can rest some guys.
Well, I think there's no doubt. I think if we would have had to have played on Wednesday, it would have been very difficult because, again, you know, you're playing on such an emotional peak for 2 straight weeks there, and then to try to maintain that is really difficult. So I felt like, you know, it gave us an opportunity to kind of catch our breath a little bit, recharge the battery, and get focused again. And I think the NCAA Division II has done one other great thing, Mike, and that is now they're playing Wednesday, Thursday, taking Friday off, then playing Saturday on the championship game. Whereas in the past, they played Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And as a result, a lot of the teams were coming right back after Friday night's game, playing 12 hours later for the national championship. And I don't think the people really got a true picture of the Division II caliber of play because there was 2 tired teams out there. I felt like last year's game was one of the best basketball games I'd seen, and I've been watched every one of the Division II games on TV. So I feel like the NCAA has really done a good thing by giving those 2 teams that Friday off to get them rested, where they can put their best foot forward on Saturday.
Of course, Lions Fun begins in 4 more days. They play the day's first quarterfinal contest at 2 o'clock. St. Anselm out of New Hampshire faces a team that was there last year in Metro State out of Colorado. Night session begins with a 5 o'clock encounter between Georgia College and State University and Seattle Pacific, with an Indiana-Kentucky battle ending the night. Only it's Indiana out of Pennsylvania against perennial power Kentucky Wesleyan. Lions are only focused on the Moccasins of Florida Southern right now. When he and I come back, more on Wednesday's game, along with our weekly music video. Back in 2 minutes.
Well, Mike, I think it starts on the defensive end. We've got to be very solid. We realize they're an excellent defensive team, and we can't allow any easy baskets to be scored by them. And you do that by, number one, we got to take care of the basketball, and then number 2, we got to do a good job rebounding. We can't afford to let them get any second, third opportunities. So I think from a defensive end, it's going to take a good, solid effort on our part. On the offensive end, we've got to make sure that again, we take care of the basketball, and we got to have a good shot selection. We can't go in there and hope and shoot in the low 40s and have a chance to win the game. We got to shoot close to 50%.
As always, best of luck to you, and thanks to Rob and Scott Michael for making a trip in here. Guys did a very good job. A lot of people making the road trip next week. Should be a very exciting week, folks. When it comes to a show next week, there will be none. We'll recap the Elite Eight and the season as a whole 2 weeks from today at 11:30 a.m. Hopefully that will include a national championship. For Robert Lewis, I'm Michael Andrew. Drive safely this week to Louisville. Also, give me a call before Monday, and I'll tell you how to get to Vinny's. It's a quality after-hours facility in Louisville. Also, a reminder to watch KSN this week at 5, 6, and 10 for Lion updates. Beginning Tuesday, I'll be bringing you special reports from the Ville. We'll be doing it as long as this Southern team keeps winning. As we leave you this afternoon, a popular song from the soundtrack of a popular 1984 movie, sung by a guy in his band when he had a band before he left and proceeded to have many different names. We'll see you next week.
Airline. I think you call your airline right now.
right, guys, listen up. We got a rebound. We got a rebound. We cannot foul. Don't stop the clock. All right, hit the rebound.
Ball tipped away, stolen by the Lions. Here they come with Escalera. He'll take it to the rack and jam it home. Steal by Newberry, dunked by Escalera. 3 seconds left, 2 seconds left, 1. Pack your bags, baby. We are going to Louisville. Southern has won the South Central Regional.
Do you like trivia?